Hello everyone, welcome back to another Rogues Chat. Today I have with me Whitelight, someone who creates very enjoyable discussions on games that I happen to like quite a lot. So, hello, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, I'm Whitelight. I create very enjoyable discussions on video games,
I would say
and
that's
I'm
true.
LeoK's biggest fan.
Wow, thank you. I'm honored.
If it weren't for you, brother, I would not have made the Unity video. I would have made the Unity video, but I wouldn't have made it with any confidence.
Now, Unity is a very, shall we say, special game. Damn, that is genuinely awesome though. To kind of start with the question everybody gets on one of these, how did you get into Assassin's Creed?
Oh, how did I get into Assassin's Creed? Shit. It was funny, actually. I do remember this. I have a distinct memory of it. When we first got the Xbox 360, right, there was a demo disc, right?
Hmm.
This is from way in the past, man, when you had discs you could just put in from a magazine. And they would
Yes.
have like demos, they would have extras on them, and they would
Yeah.
have trailers. And we were looking through the trailers. I was young as hell at the time, so everything amazed me. And one of the games there was Assassin's Creed 2. And I looked at it and I thought, yeah, looks mid. But I remembered it. I kept thinking about it for a while after. Then I saw a Let's Player play it, and I thought, wow, a truly open world historical setting. The parkour looks incredible. A story that's actually good? Because I don't know, I'd never really played a good story in a video game before up until that point,
Yeah, yeah.
and it just kinda blew my mind. So, the first game I got in the franchise was Assassin's Creed 2.
Wow.
I barely even knew about Assassin's Creed 1. I knew it must have existed because there had to be an Assassin's Creed before 2, but no one talked about it, no one knew about it, no one had it. All my friends, we played the Ezio games, and we just looked forward to it every year since Assassin's Creed 2. We would look forward to every new release.
Yeah, yeah. This is very familiar to me. Pretty much the same with myself and my friends. Like it's almost the same experience. Like most of the people I knew, they did not really discuss AC1 that much. They would say, it was good for its time, and they would say that like not even 1 or 2 years after it came out, and it's like, all right, like sure, great.
But the time, cultural time in terms of games has stretched so dramatically that it's almost hard to even recognize how we used to think about games only 10 years into the past.
Yeah,
Like now, you play a game like Arkham Knight and it could have come out yesterday. In fact,
yeah,
it could have come out tomorrow.
yeah.
It could have come out 5 years from now. It came out 10 years ago. It came out 11 years ago.
It's
And with development
fascinating.
time stretching so dramatically, it's as though, back in 2007, 2 years ago was an immense length of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything could have changed in that time.
Especially because it was like kind of coming off of the PS2 era, right? Like AC1
Yeah.
was very early, like 360 PS3.
Yeah, and you could tell it really wanted to drive the visuals as far as it possibly could. As every game on a new gen console does, they just want to look the absolute best because there's a pressure to, especially to sell the hardware, to justify the hardware.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely saw that quite a lot. And I think a topic I saw recently online, I don't know where I glimpsed this, but someone said something along the lines of, one of the reasons why next gen is less exciting nowadays than it used to be is because the jump in graphics would almost always come with, a commensurate jump in like AI or gameplay or things like that, where it's like the game doesn't just
Yeah.
look prettier from what it used to be able to. It also came with the promise of, this would transform your experience in some way. Like you would have access to different types of gameplay, maybe, or different,
It's ex-
yeah,
it's exactly that. It's exactly that. And you look at the history of games and it's like we've always been chasing the same thing. It's just that with every technological generation, we've been able to deliver more on what we really want from games. It's like the
right.
open world trend. It's not a trend. It's not like battle royale. It's what we always want. We always wanted from an interactive simulation to be able to inhabit a completely new world.
Yeah, yeah. Like
We've
Crimson
always
Desert was
wanted
always going to happen.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and it's like Daggerfall blew people's minds. I don't even know what Daggerfall is. Is it like 2D face on? Is it even technically
It's
it doesn't use the same 3D technologies as today, does it?
no, it doesn't. It's it feels kind of like the old Doom, like Doom 1-ish. Like that's kind of how I think of it. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I think that's how
very
it works.
pretty sure it uses sprites as well as like the, pseudo 3D I don't even know if it's fair to call it that. Like, I'm sure it's 3D, but like, you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's certainly not
And
like
especially with
Morrowind, right? Like that was a jump.
yeah, 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 it was huge. Remarkably huge now that I think about it, man. Daggerfall came out, was that 2002?
It would have to
Yeah,
be
it
like a fair bit earlier, I would imagine.
oh, shit. Shows what I know, 1996.
Jeez. Yeah, so even as far back as then, we wanted
Yeah.
worlds. And not that Daggerfall is a particularly, like, impressive world compared to what we can do nowadays. It was very. I think it used a lot of procedural generation and randomization. Yeah, people still wanted that.
And especially with games where the fantasy is to inhabit some kind of real life scenario, like racing games.
Hmm,
It's
hmm.
like, of course, every technological leap would massively more enable that fantasy because, well, now we can actually render realistic cars. And that's graphical, but now we can explore the worlds that we want to explore with our cars.
It's fascinating. I mean, like what Forza is doing, the fact
Yeah.
that you can just have this game set in like a different country every time, and that's something that people kind of look on with curiosity. Like, hey, what country is the new Forza game gonna be in? It's kind of like the way people thought about AC, and probably
Yeah.
still do, where it's like, hey, even if you don't care about Assassin's Creed, you're always vaguely curious about it. It's like, oh, what country, what time period is it going to next, right? Like,
I found myself somehow less compelled by the anticipation of where the new Assassin's Creed is going to be set because Assassin's Creed has figured out there's far more money in selling you popularized historical fantasies
yep, yep,
instead of selling you the assassin fantasy. And so you
yes,
kind of know where it's going to be able to go. Like
right.
back in the day, there was no game set in the Crusade, man. There was no game set in Renaissance Italy. Of course, that was wild.
Yeah, it could have been
You know,
anything.
it could have been anything back then. Even revolutionary France, like, yeah, okay, people talk about revolutionary France, but
How many games are there, right?
exactly,
Very little.
it's not really a popular setting to think about. But now, of course, you're going to get the Viking game. Of course, you're going to get
The ninja
the
game.
big Egypt fantasy, the ninja game, the samurai game, of course, because it makes money. It's easier to sell.
Yeah, yeah.
Assassin's Creed was so successful, but what's more successful than Assassin's Creed? Spartans, of course. Everyone
Right.
knows what a Spartan is. Everyone's watched 300.
Yeah, yeah. It's the archetypes are so strong in public consciousness that it's very easy to kind of just, the archetype itself kind of does half of your marketing for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The Viking game, of course. Of
Yeah.
course you're going to do the Viking game. I'm surprised
Meanwhile,
they haven't done the Knight game, to be honest, but I guess that's what Hex is going to be.
yeah, I couldn't even begin to guess. Like I'm really curious. I hope it's not, a night game. I hope it's more of a,
Yeah.
like the way I think of Assassin's Creed is like I would prefer it to be something where you're playing as a witch indeed, and it like interrogates the ideas of like what a witch is even supposed to be, right? Like that
Yeah,
would be
yeah, yeah.
cool. But yeah, who knows if they have what it takes to like do that.
It does surprise me, though, because Hex, like, the Witch Trials is just like Revolutionary France. It's just like Renaissance Italy.
Yeah, it's one
But
of those.
it does break with the trend, and I
Yeah.
don't know why they're doing it. Is it because the creatives at Ubisoft really wanted to make this game? Or, like, but Ubisoft is so financially reliant on Assassin's Creed now that I'm surprised they would take any risk with an X setting. I'm
Yeah.
surprised they're not doing Rome.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really curious about that. Yeah, Rome is another one of those big ones that, for years players wondered like, hey, are we gonna get an Egypt game? Or are we gonna get a Japan game, right?
Yeah.
And like the third setting alongside those two was always Rome, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. It's the obvious thing. And I get it. I guess it would be a little harder because Rome was such a political. It was so everything we feel about Rome is very, very strongly politically driven. And
yeah.
how do you Assassin's Creedify that? I
Yeah.
guess you can do it. You can definitely do it, but if you if you want a giant open world, and people do, and Ubisoft do, how are you going to do that with Rome in the same way you can do it with Vikings? I'm not sure.
It would take a lot more like specific effort. Yeah, like whatever Hexa is doing, certainly curious because, for the reason you said, it's not really an archetype driven setting, like or
Yeah,
like even if it is, it's like a witch is very different from like a Spartan or like a ninja or a samurai, right? Like
yeah, yeah.
it's not quite the same thing.
This isn't Bordeaux. This isn't a support studio.
Yeah, this
It's
is
Montreal.
Montreal. Yeah, insane.
What? Who knows what they're going to do with that, man?
I'm really, really curious about it. Clint Hawking being on it is just conceptually crazy. I never would have, imagined an AC game carry that name.
I mean, Clint Hocking, we've come to associate his directorship with big new ideas, especially Watch Dogs Legion. Now, Watch Dogs Legion was a steaming pile of shit, but it wasn't his fault. It could have been good. I hope that this time
They let him cook, basically.
they let him cook. Because, like, what happened with Legion? It looks like they ran out of time. It looks like they ran out of money. It looks like they ran out of everything. I don't know if they're going to let Montreal run out of anything. I think they're going to put everything they possibly can into the next big Assassin's Creed game being good. So, here's hoping.
Yeah, here's hoping.
I was hoping about Valhalla, and I was hoping about Shadows, and
yeah,
I've learned not to hope.
yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, if it's good, like, just put it in front of me and we'll see when it gets here.
I'm surprised that they're doing England again, though. Dark Gothic England.
Dark Gothic anything definitely gets me going. Like, that is what I want. Like, when I think of Assassin's Creed, like, that grimness and that, like, mood and that tone, like, that's what I want, right? Like, that's something I think has been missing from
They've just
AC.
done this in Valhalla, right?
It's not the same. Valhalla feels like a I don't know how to describe it, like a very like watered down or kind of like cartoony version of it. I mean, like, when you compare something like Valhalla to something like AC1 or even Unity, I think the tone in something like AC1 and Unity feels pretty different to me than the tone in something like Valhalla, Like, there's a kind of, I don't know, grime and like darkness and dourness to something like AC1 that almost like doesn't particularly care if you're having a good time. And parts of Unity were kind of like that as well. Meanwhile, in Valhalla, it definitely feels a little bit more, I don't know. It's like they do it because that's what you expect, if that makes sense.
It doesn't feel connected to anything. It doesn't feel like it's made to support the core experience. It feels like it's just, well,
Yeah.
this is the dark region.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt
But
anyway.
I am still enchanted by Valhalla's art.
Yes, I think it's quite good.
And it's a shame because it's the only thing that could have saved Shadows.
Shadows is really interesting to me. Like, we can definitely talk about that a little bit. It's funny because there's a lot of people waiting for me to talk about that game, and quite frankly, like,
I'm one of them.
yeah, my thoughts on that game have gone through so many like iterations, and that project is like a complete mess on my drive right now. But yeah, Shadows is interesting. I think, like, what's crazy to me about it is, okay, so we know the joke of like every copy of an Assassin's Creed game is personalized, right? Like, you might get bugs that like I've never seen and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
I think nowhere is this more apparent like than in Unity and probably Valhalla as well. I'm still astounded.
Complete mess, man.
Yeah, I'm still astounded by how many players approach me in comments and they're like, no, like the stealth in Valhalla is fine, and I'm just like, really? Can I play your game? Like, so I can enjoy myself? That would be cool, right? Like,
Yeah.
But
it was just like that with Cyberpunk too. I got so unlucky with the bugs. Everyone had a buggy experience, but I had bugs you wouldn't believe.
damn. Yeah, meanwhile, like,
I
I
could barely
played,
play it.
damn. Yeah, I played Cyberpunk on release, like literally like the day it came out, and I had very
day one.
few. Yeah, day one. I had very few issues. I mean, there were some things where, um, there's one because I recorded a few stealth videos for that game, just for fun, and I had a weird issue in that game where when you're escaping Konpeki Plaza, if I were to kill anyone at any point, even if the body was completely hidden, enemies would see the body through walls, and even if they couldn't see me through walls, they would know that like I've killed someone and start looking around, even though there was no possible way for them to like know that happened. And so that led to me making two different videos, one where I kill no one and another one where I kill everyone so fast that the next person doesn't have time to see their body and the bug doesn't happen.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you could consider that an interesting gameplay scenario.
You could, yes. If you
You could also say that the bugs in Assassin's Creed are just part of the animus glitching.
Yes, and people do say that,
and people do say that.
And I'm astounded and charmed by how many people say that like dead seriously.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, you go. If you are capable of living your life with that level of cope, you must be a pretty happy man.
Yeah, like power to you. I don't think I can do that. Like,
Yeah.
God. Yeah, Shadows is interesting. I think, we might have a little bit of a debate on this because I don't think this has been your experience, but the stealth in that game is its greatest quality. Like, and from what I played, like it was very obvious that they spent the majority of their effort on that, right? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, like they definitely tried to go for like the whole, you know, open world like stealth action games in recent times, they don't really have a whole lot of friction going on, right? Like they make you feel powerful, but they don't really make you work for the feeling powerful, right?
They don't have a whole lot of mechanics.
Yeah, they don't have a whole lot of mechanics either. Meanwhile, shadow stealth, you can prone, there are shadows to hide in. It's very binary, but like it's cool. It works reasonably well. And there's like destructible objects, and
Yeah.
because you can prone, the things you can hide behind are not necessarily like so like cookie cutter and so prescriptive. Like I can hide underneath or behind something that would be too short to hide behind in like a chest high wall cover system, for example. And
Yes.
that's not like
Yeah.
a thing that I'm snapping to. I'm literally just laying flat on the ground and like moving my body behind it. So like that's a very Splinter Cell way of doing things. It's a little bit more like analog, right? I
Prone is a very easy way to add depth to
Yes,
a
yes.
AAA game that is trying very hard to be very intuitive, be very accessible, but also have that hard to master element because it's literally just crouch squared.
Yeah,
It's
exactly,
hold
exactly.
the crouch button instead of press the crouch button, and it's based on the exact same principles. You sacrifice movement speed for lower visibility.
Yeah, yeah,
So if you understand how to do a crouch, you understand what a prone is.
exactly.
It's great, great game design, and it's the perfect kind of game design for the games that these developers want to make. So that's why you see it in so many modern games now. I don't does Yotei have it? But Last of Us has it,
Last of Us
and a lot more.
does. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think Yotei has it, unless I'm just completely blanking out. I played that like somewhat recently ish, and I don't
yeah,
remember it having it. Yeah, I think
yeah. No,
Yotei
I'm not.
does
I'm not
much
quite
more
sure.
with its combat than it does with its stealth, which was fascinating to me.
Yes, it does. It does do more with its combat than its stealth.
Like it has
And
that like scrappy like and enemies in Yotei like really want to like hit you like a lot more than they do in
yeah,
Tsushima, I find. And there's all the little jars lying around. It's very like scrappy and scrambly. You pick something up, you throw it in somebody's face, right? Like you're trying to like just give yourself space to breathe in that game, which is
I don't like Ghost of Yotei's combat, but that quality, that scrappiness, I really value that in games. I love improvisational decision making. I
mm-hmm.
love in the moment decision making, tense. You throw yourself into the shit and then you have to fight your way out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what Yotei does deliver on, and that I really enjoy.
I think what was it? One of my favorite things you've ever said, and I think you bring it up multiple times throughout your career, is this concept of like the way you define depth, which is the total of your meaningful balanced options. I think is
Relevant, balanced options.
relevant balanced options. Yes, that's the one. Yeah,
I've begun to step away from that definition a little bit because the trouble is there is no such thing as a game design vocabulary.
that's
Every game
true.
designer and every theorist has a slightly different take. So you can't say, "Oh, well, I know the definition of depth." No, you don't. You know someone's definition of depth.
Yeah, yeah.
I know Celia Wagar's definition of depth, and I think it's very useful in many cases.
Mm-hmm.
But like by that definition, Guitar Hero is a game with no depth. Sekiro
Right.
is a game with almost no depth
Yeah, yeah.
because you're not making interesting decisions. You're there's a different kind of challenge. There's a different kind of skill that you're expected to master. It's not decision making, it's something else. It's something more responsive.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if it feels right to say Sekiro is a game with no depth, but I think it
Definitely
can be
not.
useful
Yeah.
to use the terms to distinguish the parts of the game that are responsive, timing based, very just reflexive from the parts that are more higher consciousness, interesting decision making.
Yeah, like
like
what
Arkham,
setup do
you
I
know?
bring into a fight, etc. Right, like
Yeah,
things like that.
exactly.
Yeah. Do you have much experience with Ninja Gaiden? Um, I know
It's the game
four.
that I am trying very hard to get into.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I know four
I
recently
have
came
not
out.
played it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I have really enjoyed it. I like pretty much the entire like 3D Ninja Gaiden series.
Mhm.
Within reason, of course. I think they're really interesting. I think if you enjoy like it's funny, like DMC 1, like Devil May Cry 1,
Yeah.
and Ninja Gaiden 1 both have this like weird like interconnected world design that like both series kind of stepped away from. And
Yeah.
you do get a lot of players, well, a lot is maybe a misnomer. You get some players that are very, very passionate about the world design and level design in those first games because nothing
Mm.
really gave them that level design in the rest of the series again as the games, hammered down on combat and like really focused on combat. Ninja Gaiden 1 or Ninja Gaiden Black, it has this almost like Metroid-esque exploration. You explore every corner almost like you would. Ninja Gaiden fans are gonna kill me for this, but like almost the way you would in a Souls game, right? Where like one of the things that makes exploration feel meaningful in Souls games is that you actually don't know if there's going to be something around the next corner, and because you don't know, you operate with the assumption that there will be so that you don't die. And because you're doing that, it creates meaningful gameplay in your head even though there's nothing there, you don't know that there's
Yes.
nothing there, right? Like
Yes.
you have to
Yes.
behave as
Precedent.
if there is, yeah. And Ninja Gaiden 1 is like a lot like that. And I think that's something that, you would probably end up appreciating about it.
Yeah, that fascinates me. I always thought that Ninja Gaiden was basically just extremely punishing combat arena after extremely punishing combat arena, and then there's something really frustrating and annoying that you just have to get past.
Yeah, like to an extent, I would say that's quite accurate. I think starting with Ninja Gaiden 2, that definitely is the case. And
Yeah.
there are quite a few rooms like that in Ninja Gaiden 1 as well. And that is pretty much how NG4 works as well. It's just punishing combat arena after punishing combat arena. But the vibe of this scrappy, scrambly quality where you're just constantly making decisions with everything around you, I think is something that rings true and resonates very strongly in Ninja Gaiden. So once you get around to it properly, I think you will find that to enjoy about it. In Ninja Gaiden especially, like enemies are resources. So whenever you've cut
Yeah.
off, starting with Ninja Gaiden 2, whenever you cut off an enemy's limb, you can do an obliteration technique on them, or OT as players will typically call it.
That's a fucking sick terminology, by the way.
Yeah,
Obliteration technique.
I know.
Oh man.
Yeah, and so the way it works is it lets you insta kill any enemy who is missing a limb. And,
Right.
different attacks have higher or lower delimb rates depending on, like, what you're
So it's
attacking
luck
with.
based?
It is to some extent luck based, but
It's a good thing. It can be a good thing.
yeah, it is to some extent luck based, but of course some moves have much higher rates of that. And so that becomes part of like, you know, your decision making in what
Yeah.
attack do I want to put on the screen based on the situation. Like if I really need to cut off some limbs quickly, I would prefer to do
Yeah.
X over Y, for example. But the cool thing about OTs is whenever you obliterate an enemy, you get iframes for the duration of that animation. And so
I see.
like enemies become in a very real way resources because you can use it to like avoid damage, you can use it to you know buy yourself time to think about what you're going to do next because Ninja Gaiden is a game that moves very quickly, right? So having that reprieve of like a second or two to look around the room and look at every enemy around you and think about what do I want to do next, it's a very real thing.
That's very interesting to me. I love that scrappiness in Sifu most of all.
Yes, yes. God,
I
Sifu's so good.
love the degree to which it can refresh combat every single time you play the same level, and the game needed to do this because the game intends to be replayed endlessly. The fact that I've managed to get 250 hours and counting out of a game with 5 levels is insane,
Isn't it
and I'm not
wonderful?
even remotely bored of it.
Yeah.
I'm not even remotely bored of it. Every fight is different. Comes down to how it deals with its difficulty. Some of it comes down to the fact that the way enemies can sort of overlap their attacks creates endlessly new combos you have to dodge
Yeah.
because, a brute and the bodyguard attacking you at the same time is a very different combo from either one of them doing any of their attack strings. But a lot of it has to do with the fact that, oh, this time the knife dropped there. This time someone pushed me through some bamboo, and that made a different weapon appear. This time I made better use of one of the kickable stool things, you know?
Yeah, I love the
So it's
animation for
constantly
that. It's
refreshing.
so fluid. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think Sifu is interesting because it really leverages a kind of arcade-esque design that a lot of games have become very shy about approaching. I have been playing more arcade games recently. I've been playing more shmups. Yeah, those only typically have 5 or 6 stages and then you're done. Because the idea is you're not supposed to play it just once, and you're not supposed to play it in a manner that is sloppy. You know, you're not supposed to be satisfied with getting to the end, just credit feeding through it and like spamming continues, right? Like the idea is you're supposed to learn the game enough and get good enough that you can do it cleanly, right? And that is why players who enjoy that genre get so much playtime and so much discussion and so much enjoyment out of it.
I've never been compelled by perfectionism as much, by getting a hitless run, by getting a deathless run.
Hmm.
To me, it's way more about you've gotten good enough at the game that you almost become an artist with the system,
Yes,
and you
yes.
can express yourself easily and differently every single time that you do the level. I still die in Sifu. I play on a much harder difficulty than is usually accessible, but I still die, and I don't care because it made it different that time,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's what I value about it.
Yeah, I think I don't know if you ended up checking out that like secret level like
I did.
anthology TV show with all the different video games, right? From
It was
the
okay.
It was okay, yeah, from the Love, Death and Robots people, I think.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it was.
so out of all of those, my favorite one that I feel actually like did something good was the Sifu one. I feel like that one actually, you know, conveyed a reasonable amount like
It
something.
was a compelling tribute to Sifu,
Yes, yes. That
but it was hardly a translation of Sifu that I feel like you'd get much from on its own.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, you just have to play the game at the end of the day. Nothing can replace that.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, I think it's really cool. I think something that I've been considering more and more is a lot of players do not have enough charity to arcade style design, like a lot of modern players with modern sensibilities, to approach it.
Right.
Maybe they're a little bit intimidated, they don't think they'll have fun, etc. But then if
I
you
think
attach some kind of roguelike progression to it, or
yes.
then it unlocks that for people. And the most powerful example of that recently is probably Absalom, the beat 'em up roguelike.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of that. I'm only aware of it because I know Yuka Kitamura did a track for it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's on my wish list.
It's a fun game. The combat feels great. It's awesome to do in co-op if you ever have the chance to do that. Um,
That is good to know because I've been looking for a co-op game. I'll write that down. With that, I feel there's some element of modern players want to feel like they're in a world. Modern players want to feel grounded in a fictional experience.
mhm.
Modern players want a story for themselves and the protagonist. And I feel like with arcade games that are always super gamified and very often very divorced from a sense of continued narrative, I feel like that gives a lot of people strong hesitation. But when you introduce the roguelike element, now all of a sudden there's a continued story.
Yeah.
And oftentimes they do a lot more to deliver story, to build world, to create the sense that it's just one continued narrative, one world you're existing in.
Yeah, yeah. Continuity, I think, is a major element of why they have been as successful in, grabbing attention as they have been. I think the thing that Hades did, where regardless of whether you win or lose, you come back to your base and then there's new dialogue, like
Hmm.
something even that simple, just really like showed people like, hey, you can tell narrative, in this structure, and it can be narrative that people really, really like.
Yeah, people just want a sense of connection. They want to feel like what they do in a game is it can be contextualized in the frame of something larger. And like that even applies to Mario, right? Because you've still got an overarching narrative, you've still got a sense of continuity to everything and context. But when you have super, super arcadey games, it is often the case that you lose that. And people are, I think modern players are afraid of that. They feel like something essential would be missing there,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
somehow it would all feel pointless.
I can kind of understand and sympathize with that. Yeah, to me, like, it's just a different kind of experience, and it's something that I do I do value, and it's variety is the spice of life, as they say. So it's kind of fun to play games like that and check them out and kind of see like what are these doing well that we can learn from. What are these doing well that other games perhaps are not? And of course, one of the biggest things is just how mechanically tight they are and how good they feel to play, right? Because that is
Yeah.
something that a lot of modern games don't always pull off very well. Like we
It's shocking how much effort most AAA developers will put into game feel and making every single response feel tight. And then you just have Ubisoft, who has
Yeah.
all the resources, all the money, and all the incentive, and yet their games feel awful to play in
Yeah.
comparison to the rest of almost the entire AAA scene. It is the thing for me that most distinguishes the experience of Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of Yotei from Assassin's Creed.
I would agree.
Assassin's Creed is a clunky pile of shit, and Ghost of what the fuck ever, it
You
plays
press a
like butter.
button, you press a button and you're just like carving through a guy and you're like, God damn, this feels good. Like,
Yeah, it works. It's responsive. Things happen when you try to make them happen.
yeah, I
And I
think,
can play nearly any AAA game, big major AAA game. I can play a FromSoft game, I can play Horizon, I can play Ghost, I can play Spider-Man, I can play one of the other PS5 exclusives. What is that, like 2 games?
yeah.
And it it literally is just Ubisoft. It's just them.
You know what? Yeah, you're kind of right. Like, trying to think, like, what was the Ubisoft game that and recent is a generous term, but like that I recently played that had like the best game feel? It's probably Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Combat and movement in that game both feel
Yeah.
very good.
I've really wanted to play that game for some time, mainly because of the Gareth Coker soundtrack, but
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
do wanna get into Prince of Persia. Although I feel it might be a little inappropriate to get into Prince of Persia with that game because it's kind of a familiar Metroidvania structure.
It's
I
very
kinda wanna get
different.
in,
Yeah.
yeah, to the old ones that were truly themselves, you know?
Yeah, I think what's kind of crazy is for me, the Metroidvania structure fits very well into Prince of Persia because that is a structure that marries movement and combat in a way that very few others do so elegantly, if that makes sense.
Mm,
Like
yeah, I see that.
in a Metroidvania, like, fighting and moving around both don't feel out of place. And I
Yeah, there's
think
no clear distinction.
yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why they went with it. It's like in a Metroidvania, parkour becomes meaningful in a very different way than it would in, like, I don't know, a linear game, because now moving is something that, you kind of have to do in multiple directions.
Yeah.
And the movement in Lost Crown is just insanely smooth. It's ridiculous. I highly recommend it. But yeah, whether you get into it with that one or the older ones, like, either way is fine. Just as you know, like, Lost Crown feels very different than the rest of the series. Um, but I think they're all pretty fun games.
I
Uh,
expected that, and I can live with that, you know?
cool, cool. Yeah, like, I've done no damage runs of Sands of Time and Two Thrones, and
Yeah.
someday I'll do Warrior Within. It's just Warrior Within is really, really hard.
Yeah, I heard you talk about that with Conography, I think.
It's an interesting game. I think Warrior Within might be the most unpolished game in the series. Uh,
Mhm.
and combined with
Was
its
that the 3rd
difficulty,
game, or
it's the second one. It's the super, like,
it's the
edgy,
2nd one?
grimdark one, which
Oh,
that
sweet.
aspect of it I quite like. The polish and the tuning is a little, for me, leaves a little to be desired. But I don't want Prince of Persia fans to cut my head off, so we chill.
Yeah, well, you could probably take all 3 of them.
Probably, yeah. There's not that many left, sadly.
It's over. It's fucking over, boys. It's over, Persia sells.
God, I was one of the people that was really excited for Sans remake.
Oh, yeah, that got canned, didn't it?
Who knows how true this is, but apparently a lot of it was finished or close to finished. and that's just kind of like heartbreaking.
I mean, sometimes you see these decisions that are completely baffling from a company,
Yeah.
and then the answer is just tax. It's a tax write-off.
Uh,
Ubisoft thought they could make more money not paying tax than they did by releasing the game. That's it. That's 99% chance that's the reason.
yeah. Fuck.
And it's
Got it.
fucked up.
It is. Yeah, it is. I think we saw things like that with in movies. You tended to see this. There was some company. Was it Warner Bros?
Yeah, Warner Brothers canceled Batgirl for the tax write-off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is something that happens, and it's always just like, damn. People really do. To say people hate art would not be accurate. I think people love
No,
art. It's just
but they
weird.
love money.
They love money a little bit more.
They
Yeah.
they do love money, and I can't imagine how crushing it would be to look back on the work you've made and realize that you were doing it just so some prick didn't have to pay tax.
Yeah, and no one will get to experience that, like even
Yeah.
if yeah, it's tragic.
There should be a culture of leaking, man. I
That
don't
would be
care.
cool, yeah. I think
They should just put this shit out.
some time
Mm.
ago there was a released playable build of StarCraft Ghost, which was like the cancelled StarCraft like third person stealth game from way back in the day.
Oh, wow. I had no
And
idea that existed.
it's like most of the stuff doesn't work, but you can run around the world, you can look at the enemies, you can
Yeah.
I love shit like that. I think that putting that in the hands of the curious is always very cool.
No, I agree, I agree. I mean, we just had the Metro 2039 announcement, and with it came leaks for what Metro 4 was originally going to be.
Oh
And there
yeah.
was a build, an open world you could explore. And yeah, it's fascinating to explore that. And oftentimes you do understand why it was cancelled. If you're lucky, it's not because some dickhead wanted a tax break. Sometimes it's because it clearly wasn't going to work, like the original Doom 4.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
still fascinating to be able to explore that?
It's interesting. A lot of the time you can learn a lot from like what did they decide not to do.
Yeah. And it's a case study if you actually want to make games. Why was this cancelled? They did learn from the cancelled Doom 4.
Oh yes.
And so we got Doom 2016.
God, that Doom 2016 and Eternal together
Yeah.
did something just incredible for like FPS games.
Oh, yeah.
Those are games that almost comedically like shirk this idea of like, yeah, like I'm not here for your exposition. 2016 in particular. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
here to
it
blow
was
shit
all
up.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was remarkable because it's what I miss more than anything about the seventh generation of gaming. A good, linear, mission-based campaign.
Pragmata has kind of
Shit,
been
I
that for
miss that,
me
man. Yeah?
recently. Yeah, like I would love to talk about that in a little bit, but I know that you've been playing Resident Evil lately a little bit.
I have.
How has that been?
It's been all right. Resident Evil 7 was scary, and I have immense respect for its design. Its first hour is like a masterpiece, probably. Then the boat happens,
Yes.
and that's not good. That's not good. That
Yeah,
can't be forgiven.
I
And then
understand.
everything after the boat happens, and that's even worse. And
Yeah.
then it's a good game though. I really liked it. Resident Evil 4 so far has been remarkably instructional in how to create tense third person action gameplay.
Yeah.
And I appreciate its creativity. I appreciate its pacing, although there have been some lulls, but overall, I appreciate it. I understand why these games have the respect they deserve, but I can't say that they're rewiring my brain or anything.
Did you ever end up playing Resident Evil 2 Remake?
No, but that's on the list. I think after 4, I'll probably do 9.
I think what I would probably advise you do is do 2 Remake before 9, in part because that will give you like some like 9 has a lot of callbacks to 2 in particular that I think will hit better if you play 2 first. But it's up to
Fair
you.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that works for me. That works for me.
And 2 I think is it has that like Metroidvania-esque structure where you're, unlocking shortcuts, you're finding key items to open doors with, you're doing all that. You're making expeditions from your safe room out into the rest of the world and deciding
Yeah.
which zombies to put down and which ones to run around, right? Like that will really put that core loop in your hands in a very real way.
I find the Mr. X idea very, very compelling. I
It
love
is.
I
It
love
is.
how much tension and horror that can bring into things. It was certainly the most scared I was in Resident Evil 7 when I was avoiding the bakers.
Yeah.
Um, I can't say 4 has been scary in that way. I understand it isn't trying to be.
Yeah, it's an action game.
So it's something I'm very interested in trying. I would like to be properly scared by a Resident Evil game, you know?
I believe 2 will do that from time to time, for sure. And I think what you mentioned about the dynamism that something like Sifu can have, where, every run is a little bit different, even though you're so accustomed to the game, because unexpected moments can happen that then force your hand. You have to respond to that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
that's kind of what Mr. X does in RE2R, and I think it's fascinating because that game is, you can smash out a playthrough in under 2 hours once you're used to everything and you skip every cutscene, right? Like, it feels that's one of my comfy games where I just smash out a run in like 2 hours when I feel like it. But
That's interesting.
that's something that
Resident Evil game? A comfort game?
I know, yeah, crazy to think about, but that's something that Capcom do really well, I find, is typically most Resident Evil games are pretty short once you get down to it, and you cut out all the non-gameplay stuff that obviously you would enjoy all of that on your first playthrough. They have the grace to get out of your way on subsequent runs, which I think that is the least that a developer can do for a player if they want you to replay their game, where it's like, okay, let us skip cutscenes because we've seen these before, right? Like, we're here for other experiences.
Exactly. That non-intrusiveness is a profoundly undervalued quality in modern game design.
It's something that when you do see it, like, you tend to really cherish it, or certainly I do. What's really cool about RE2R is, even if I've played the game so many times, there are moments where Mr. X will path in a way I'm not expecting, or he'll walk in front of me from a direction I wasn't anticipating, and now I have to like immediately reevaluate my surroundings like right now.
Is it actual random, or is it perceived randomness?
So the way it works is there are ways you can manipulate it once you kind of learn how it works, but I mean, there are ways you can manipulate the xenomorph in Alien Isolation. Though I will say the xenomorph is a little bit more complex in terms of its behavior tree. There will be certain moments where you pick up a key item or you do like a particular thing in the world that you need to progress. Those can instigate Tyrant to show up, but you will hear him stomping around like once he spawns into your world, like once you trigger the event that like brings him in. You will just hear him like walking around and stomping around like regardless of what you're doing. And if you make noise, like if you open fire on nearby zombies, he might hear that from like the other side of the RPD and start coming toward you, right? And so it's like now it brings more weight to decisions, like, do I really need to shoot this guy, or can I use this table to just kite him around it and then like not make noise, like things like that, right? Like, and I think those moments are really, really cool.
That is something I really want to experience, actually.
Yeah.
It seems like the mechanics that I enjoyed in RE7 taken to a much larger scale.
Yeah, I would agree. And RE2, like, okay, that first half of RE7 where you're doing exploration, you're finding a key item, you're finding some ammo, right? Like you're expending that ammo to get to another key item, right? Like that very satisfying kind of cerebral, slow-paced like game loop, which can become very fast once you get good at it. Like RE2R has that, but it's like the entire game.
Well, I'm looking forward to it then. Did you like RE9?
I did, yes. RE9 feels like
Did
a
you love
very
RE9?
I loved RE9. Yes, I personally did. Yeah. I think Leon Kennedy is quite possibly the coolest guy ever made.
He might be the coolest guy ever made.
Yeah.
He doesn't afraid anything.
He doesn't afraid of anything. Yeah, like. Oh, I have so much I could say about RE2. Even just like it's funny. People don't really know what I mean when I say this, but like the John Wickness of the RE games it hits so good, and it really started for me in RE2R, even though that is not a game that like wants you to feel particularly powerful, right? Like zombies have a lot of health in RE2R. Killing even one enemy is a costly expenditure, right? Like you gotta be very sure that you want to do that, but to kind of pair up with that, there's a lot of times where you simply don't need to, right? So you can shoot a zombie in the leg until it flinches, and if it's in that flinch animation, it will be trapped in that animation for the entire duration of that animation, and then you can just run past it and it can't do anything to you. Or if a zombie is trying to reach for you and like ends up diving over a table slowly, it is trapped in that animation for that entire time. And so the way you kind of like learn to play RE2R is like, you realize, hey, I can just inflict flinch state or hit stun on things and then just run past them, right? And like that's how you fight. You're controlling the enemies rather than killing them. And sometimes you'll get like heavy ammo or special equipment that lets you fully destroy something very quickly. And then those you apply to areas where, okay, I'm going to be going back and forth through this hallway many times. And so it is worth killing this enemy. Because once you kill an enemy, they're dead forever, right? Like, it's not like some other Resident Evil games where enemies repopulate. In RE2R, like, when you kill something, it is dead for the rest of the playthrough, and its corpse will stay there for the rest of the playthrough, right? So it's like,
What?
yeah, it's fucking insane. Like, it's so the long-term decision making you start to make in this game is actually like so cool.
I'm very compelled by that. And I think I see what you mean with the John Wickness of it. For me, you always get the sense that John Wick is 3 steps ahead
Yeah.
of the camera and of the audience. And with Resident Evil 4, at least, I've had this experience of foresight and thinking, okay, this is the weapon I'm going to use for this. The next weapon I'm going to use is this. Then I'm going to move here and do that. Then I'm going to aim past the guy currently at me to stun the guy behind him.
Yes,
And there's a
yes.
lot of long-term decision making, and when it all comes together, it's like one continuous string of interesting decisions that amounts to an action scene.
Yeah, yeah.
And it
Eh,
feels like John Wick in that sense, which I've never seen discussed before.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think what's really cool is when you play RE2, because that is Leon's origin story, like you
Yeah.
will see like the DNA of that in a much slower paced manner, where in RE4R, like he's badass, right? But in
Hmm.
RE2, like he's a rookie. He doesn't like know anything. And so
Can't even roundhouse kick a grandma.
yeah, exactly. Doesn't have that yet. And yet the principles of like I'm going to inflict hit stun or flinch and then like control people that way and like make plans and think 2 steps ahead, they're already there. And so you can draw a line between this is how he fought in this game for survival and then like this is how he fights in this next game for like, being badass and farming aura, right? Like
Hmm. Yeah, character development through mechanics. I
yeah,
hadn't thought of it like that.
it's really cool. Yeah, I could nerd about these games forever, but I definitely hope you play it and enjoy it.
And it's almost remarkable that that kind of heavily decision-based action gameplay is only seen really in a horror franchise and never in just like an unabashed action franchise.
Yeah, like there are very few other games I can think of that have that emphasis on essentially crowd control, right? And that is something that more old school or more arcade sensibilities associated games leverage more. To
Yeah.
some extent, you also see this in Sifu. Like the thing you mentioned about enemies in Sifu will not typically like wait their turn to attack to the same extent that
Hmm.
they would in some other games, right? Like they will happily just both hit you, if not at the same time, then very close to it, right?
Yeah.
And
Overlapping attack patterns.
exactly. And so what that kind of incites you to do is like, you take stock of your environment and you're trying to keep the situation controlled. You're trying to basically rob the enemy of as much agency as possible because there's like 20 of them and one of you, right?
Exactly. You don't want to be near a bodyguard and a flash kick at the same time because if they do overlap, you're gonna fucking struggle with that.
Exactly.
You want to pull them apart. You want
Yeah.
to just get one on their own.
Yeah, and so in the pursuit of that, maybe you do slide like a stool over at someone to just like stun them briefly, things like
Yeah.
that. To bring it back to what I briefly mentioned earlier, I'm playing Pragmata recently, which just came
Hmm.
out a few days ago. That game has like a lot of that going on. I think the conversations around Pragmata are crazy to me because very few people are talking about the game's combat, which to me is like its greatest quality.
I know it's by far the least interesting thing to me about Pragmata that it's a dad sim. Like
Yeah,
maybe it is compelling, but I've seen people say that this pairs hacking gameplay with combat gameplay unlike anything ever has done before, and
I would
I want to
agree.
see that.
Yeah, I would agree. It's so fascinating because like the basic premise of it, and I'm sure you kind of know how it works, but basically, your guns do not deal significant damage to enemies until you've hacked them open using Diana, which is like the android that chills on your shoulder, right?
Right.
And once they're popped open like that, you do way more damage to them, and that is like the basic like combat mechanic that the entire game is founded upon. But where it gets crazy is you are given access to a wide variety of different guns, and later in the game, different hack nodes, and even a little bit later in the game, different like styles of hacking that do different things. So, just as a quick example, right now I run a build that is fully focused on overheating enemies, and then when they're overheated and I get like the crit on them, the stagger attack, that splashes damage to everything around them. So I'm basically overheating people, punching them in the face so hard all their friends feel it, and then overheating them and punching them in the face.
Yeah, that does sound really cool. I didn't know Pragmata was build driven. And I think if you described that to someone just from the first part, they would think this game sounds slow.
Oh,
And
it's pretty fast to be honest. Like
yeah, no one would think you have to hack enemies before you deal damage is fast. If it can pull that off, then I want to see that.
it starts out slow, like, and you can try the demo for yourself if you're curious. It is free, and I think it's still up. It's like the first mission. It's not fully representative because a lot of the later stuff doesn't really get given to you in that. The basic ideas are there, and what I think is cool about Pragmata is it starts slow because it's being kind to the player in that way, but by the time you get to like, the second or third area, enemies are bearing down on you with such regularity that like you are forced to use crowd control tools like grenades that can knock them down or stasis nets that like slow them when they walk into them just to like buy yourself time to finish everything you need to do.
Yeah,
And
that kind
it's
of tactical long-term decision making in an action game. It is curious that that comes from Capcom again.
yeah, yeah, like they're clearly very experienced like building this kind of combat loop.
Yeah. I mean, if you were building the kind of combat that you see in RE4 and RE2, at some point you might have ideas that would never fit in a horror game,
Yeah,
that would never fit in the world of Resident Evil, regardless of the genre.
yeah, yeah.
And so it would make sense to say, okay, well, here we have sci-fi and magic, so go crazy.
It's pretty sick, yeah. I think it's right now I'm playing on Lunatic difficulty, which unlocks after finishing the game once, and
Hmm.
it's very fun. Like I'm a proponent of the idea that like some games really only shine brightly once you play them on difficulty settings that actually make demands of you, because then you are no longer allowed to ignore the game's systems in the way that you previously could. And
Yes.
obviously, there are some games that fuck this up horrendously, and they do in fact become worse when played on hard. But
Exactly. And that's
yeah,
what a lot of people don't get. A lot of people
exactly.
like to think you just make it harder, then it becomes deeper, but it doesn't. In some games, if you make it harder,
It breaks.
you're pressured to stay behind cover,
Yeah,
and now you're not making any decisions. In Watch Dogs 1, for instance, if you want to have the best time with combat, you can't play that on the hardest difficulty because you'll get killed
yeah.
instantly every time. If you want to make interesting decisions, you have to be able to tank a bit of damage.
Games that are cognizant of that and try not to like break their core loop when played on high
Yeah.
difficulties are very commendable. It's something that I always find myself appreciating.
My most common experience with that is Assassin's Creed Mirage, and I wouldn't commend it because the game is just dog shit on normal, and then it starts working on hard.
Yeah, like hard is like the fun mode, and then Ultimate Assassin or whatever that they added recently is, it's not like that transformative to be honest. I feel like if
Yeah.
you've already played on hard, like you kind of get the idea, right? I
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
go
yeah.
jumping to play another playthrough or anything. Yes, that game I think becomes significantly more meaningful like in every capacity when you play it on high difficulty. I think.
I think it's like you haven't really played the same game, and it really is that dramatic.
Yeah, yeah.
The difference, maybe less so for stealth, but for combat, it's barely even a system on normal.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
you just insta kill everything, and it's not even cool like it is in the Ezio games. It's just pressing the kill button,
exactly.
and then on hard, you actually have to play the game.
Yeah, on hard you have to crowd control enemies. You have to mind your positioning. Because you can't insta kill things. Pulling people up onto rooftops that you can kick them off or whatever, like that becomes meaningful. Deciding to fight in a room with fewer enemies so that less of them get drawn to your fight if they happen to see you
Yeah,
becomes meaningful,
exactly.
right? Like there's all these little decisions that you simply do not have to make on normal.
I mean, I like to imagine all those things you've described happening, and they have happened to me, but half the time I want them to happen, they don't because the game is a broken pile of shit.
Yeah, so it
I mean, it isn't a
goes.
pile of shit, but it is broken as hell.
That's why we play Capcom games.
Yeah.
Yes.
If only Capcom made Assassin's Creed.
God, don't speak such beautiful words to me. Like that has been so many times I'd be sitting with my friends and we'd have these conversations. It's like, you know, like which games do you want to give to which companies? You know, just fun thought
Mhm.
experiment. And I'm just like, honestly, literally just give Assassin's Creed to anyone else. Like
Exactly.
I would play a From Assassin's Creed game. I would
Yes.
play an Arcane Assassin's Creed game. I would play a Kojima
Fucking
Assassin's
anything,
Creed
bro.
game. Like,
CDPR.
yep.
Come on. Capcom. Come on.
Like,
Rocksteady when they were not washed. Oh my god.
yeah. Oh, funny enough, like I recently bought Suicide Squad for $1, which is a crazy deal.
I
Uh
paid 100.
oh my god, I'm so sorry. Curious to try it out myself. Apparently, like the combat itself is like fine, and it's just everything around it is just so
It's
dysfunctional.
it's pure dopamine.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you click and that motherfucker's going to explode in every way an explosion could be defined 10 times over. And there's going to be numbers and there's going to be colors and there's going to be sounds and there's going to be cringe Reddit chungus lines
Hell
and you're going
yeah.
to love it.
Awesome. I mean, like
But
you and I have both played Destiny, so I take your word seriously on these matters.
yeah, but Destiny's fun.
Uh huh.
Suicide Squad is like
A little
you
bit of
almost enter a
torment.
trance.
I see
I
you.
don't think it's a torment, it's a trance. You
Oh.
just there is nothing there. It's like scrolling TikTok.
Oh my
There is
god.
no substance. There is nothing engaging you. You are being pulled as if by a hook from your fucking pituitary gland
Oh
through
my
the game.
god.
It's just you lose yourself in like 30 minutes of watching pretty colors explode. It's crazy. It's like the experience of being lobotomized.
Sheesh.
You're gonna love it.
I remember laughing alongside everyone else at like the UI text or whatever of like some gear item you can pick up, and
And
it's
it's
like
worse than you could
and
imagine.
it's like, oh, deals extra damage to Batman aspected villains, and it's like, what? Like,
And the crazy thing is with Suicide Squad, it has so much build complexity. Maybe a guy like you would love it. I don't really like builds, but maybe a guy who likes builds would love it. The trouble is, because there is so much complexity, it amounts to chaos. It amounts to complete unreadability. Maybe you have made the perfect build. You're not going to be able to tell because
oh,
there are 3,000 effects happening
right.
all the time, every time. You don't know which ones you're responsible for or which ones just happened.
Right. I think that is always an issue for me in these kind of games. It's a trap that is very easy to fall into, you know, just because you give the player all these different effects and all these different, like, contingent activations and triggers, like, it doesn't mean that you have clarity, right? Like, you
Yeah.
need to feel like, you know, I need to feel like the stuff I put on the screen is my fault, basically.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. You want to feel responsible for your successes and for your failures.
yes,
You
yes.
want to feel responsible. What you don't want is to just surrender to numbers and mechanics that are just doing their own thing.
Yeah, exactly. This laissez-faire, like, if you just put enough particles on the screen, then surely people will have fun. But it's like, no, no, like this is divorced from my actions. Like I want it to mean something, you know? Like, yeah. It's funny.
Yeah, you have to go into Suicide Squad with that mindset. You're just there for an 8 hours of dopamine happening on the screen, and then
Gotcha.
leave it behind and expect nothing more.
A good podcast game, I imagine, then something to just play while listening to things in the background. I would assume.
I mean, it will be quite grating dialogue-wise. You're gonna have Harley squeaking in your ear. You're gonna have Reddit chungus lines playing constantly. You're gonna have Amanda Waller going, "Suicide Squad. Stop being the Suicide Squad in the video game called Suicide Squad."
Damn. Kind of
It's never gonna stop, bro.
adjacent to that, I recently started Gotham Knights for the first time.
Ooh,
Yeah. And I think that game
it's
is interesting because it's
yeah,
fun. However, I can tell that it will not scale well into higher levels of challenge. You know how we said like some games just break when you play them at like
dude,
super high difficulty? I have a
it's true.
strong suspicion this game will shatter apart in my hands when I start doing truly difficult stuff.
Do you want me to tell you what's gonna happen?
Please do.
So the hard content is called Heroic Assault,
I see.
and Heroic Assault is unspeakable dog shit. If you can matchmake for it, matchmake for it. Maybe there's someone still playing the game. At that level, you get insane health bars, but also at that level, you get insane loot. The cool part is Instead of like, if you're early into the game, your elemental stuff isn't doing anything. Later into the game, dude, it gets crazy. You can like set a room on fire. You
Whoa.
can get bills that will keep you alive forever. You can get insane loot bills, and it's not like Suicide Squad. It is interpretable. They do restrain it to the point that you do feel responsible for everything that's happening and that changes. The health bars expand so much. And there's an enemy you haven't met yet, but you will, that revives itself. Now you might
Oh,
be thinking, ooh, do I have to do something to stop it reviving? Is there like, is it a timing thing? Do I have
don't
to
tell
hit it with a
me.
certain kind of attack? Do you want me to not tell you?
No, no, you can tell me. I just so dread like what you're about to say.
There's nothing you can do. It's just going to revive itself. You have
Dude.
to fight it twice. That's it. Like, what do you mean that's it? What do you mean there's a full stop there at the end of that sentence? But there is. It just gets back up with its full health bar and you have to fight it again. What?
That's crazy. Damn.
But you do, and it's the longest health bar ever, and then it gets back up, and it's the longest health bar ever, and you will be there for 5 minutes pressing the attack button, and that's heroic assault. And you can bring the build you get from heroic assault back into Gotham, and it's cool all the different ways you can dominate. But oh my god, dude, yeah, it's pretty much like you thought. It's crazy. It's going to disintegrate.
Damn. Yeah, because the game itself, like as I'm going through the campaign and whatnot, like I can tell that this is clearly like somebody's take on what are very obviously like the bones of an Arkham-esque system. And, as it turns out, I quite like these bones, I think it's fun to just press my attack button toward a nearby enemy and then like throw my batarang at something else to keep it at bay, right? Like, you
I
know,
mean, I don't think it's like Arkham at all.
yeah, like obviously it's not like Arkham, but like you get what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like it's the similar kind of like how do I put it? The way you're interacting with enemies on the most basic level is very Arkham-esque, even though the combat does not shine a candle to it. Like,
In the sense that you're being snapped to enemies pretty strongly,
yeah,
and it's very aggressive, and it's quite an animation-driven game.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there are similarities, definitely. I mean, there are similarities with Assassin's Creed in that way.
The whole crowd control based gameplay thing that we briefly touched on, I think the
Mhm.
Arkham games do that quite well. Those are games that start out like reasonably chill, and then by the mid game and late game, you are expected to manage people aiming guns at you, people coming at you with
Yes.
shields, people coming at you with knives, right? And you have to make pretty quick decisions and, whenever possible, plan ahead so that like you don't get your combo broken and you don't get overwhelmed, right?
There are nuances to it, because in Arkham City, things were very restrained still, things were quite contained. It hadn't reached the excesses of Arkham Knight. It was possible to completely control an arena.
Yeah,
You could get the shield out of someone's hands. You could put explosive gel on the shield. You could keep watch of that explosive gel, and when someone went for it, bang. You could make sure no one ever held a weapon. If you were quick enough, if you had enough foresight, you could do it. In Night, it's a lot harder to take that level of responsibility over the arena because the fights are so much bigger. You
yeah.
don't have the time. The art style means that weapons get lost in the noise. When Night drives up the difficulty, like the hardest encounters in Gotham, the hardest open world encounters, by that I mean the ones with the militia, the checkpoints, there's tactical planning. You really have to think ahead if you want to even not to die, because it's very rare that an Arkham encounter will challenge you based on just trying to survive it. You're always going to win, but in those ones, it's pretty likely you die.
Yeah, like guns hit
Um,
pretty hard in those games no matter what. Like,
yeah, but when you have that level of difficulty, then you really need to start doing everything you can to keep certain enemies down, to make sure certain enemies go down first, to keep weapons out of people's hands. And then it becomes a stunningly strategic game. And you'd never think that of Arkham.
yeah.
You'd think it was super responsive, super rhythm game esque. You'd never think, wow, I really need to start thinking ahead and make tactical decisions. But in the hardest encounters in Arkham Knight, it's as strategic as a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, yeah, it's the same kind of crowd control, that same kind of thinking ahead. And then sometimes your plans either go wrong or an intermediary step introduces itself kind of against your will. It's like You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're playing RE4R, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're shooting people, you're fighting, you have a plan, but then, inside of that plan, you're also making room for, if that guy throws a hatchet at me, I'm gonna parry it out of the air, right? Like,
Yeah,
just in
exactly.
case. Like, you're keeping an eye on, like, the one guy on the side, just in case he decides to get a little heroic.
I mean, it's something 3D games really have to do because maybe you have 20 enemies in a room, but how many are in attack range at once?
Yeah.
Not many. So, how do you make the enemies who are on the edges relevant? Well, you need to give them attacks like this. Arkham
Hmm.
has the gun, or the medic, or the guy who's trying to open the weapons case, and Resident Evil has the guy who's about to throw a hatchet or a
Yeah.
Molotov.
Some of my favorite games of all time really flex their combat system by putting different enemy compositions together that are like annoying to fight. And then your goal as a player is, how do I make this not annoying to fight? Right? Like, how do I leverage my
Yeah.
abilities and my power to like crush this over my knee? Right?
And that's something Arkham is really hesitant to do. It
Yeah.
never does that. It'll never put 5 brutes in a room and then ask you to just solve it, figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's something I always wished it did. I always wish that you had those really unique encounters that makes you think completely differently from how you've ever had to think before.
It's something that, again, like many modern games, are particularly hesitant to do this kind of thing. There's a certain level of like frustration and a certain level of like, this is bullshit, that players are willing to accept, and then there's a certain threshold past that where they're not willing to accept it anymore. And I think the most recent game I played that simply did not give a fuck about you in that regard was Hollow Knight's Silksong. Hollow Knight's
Yes.
Silksong has some enemy compositions that like genuinely hate you as a player. And it's like, figure
Yeah.
it out. Like, you have tools to kill this. Like, it'll probably make you mad, it might frustrate you, but like, when you do, I think Silksong rewards aggressive play like even more than Hollow Knight 1 does.
I've seen people get such remarkable highs out of Silk Song, and I have an immense respect for its design, and I understand its intent, but it has crossed the point where I'm not interested.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
it's
good.
it's really
I've got
tough.
modern gameritis. I'm good. I'm not. I mean, I'm fine to not play this game.
Yeah, like I totally get that. I mean, if there's one game where I would, fully accept that's the one. Like, it is
I
it
mean,
is
I wasn't
tough.
super looking forward to Silk Song.
Yeah.
I love Hollow Knight, but I wasn't super interested in a sequel to Hollow Knight. I felt it made its statement. It felt pretty complete. I was like, I'm perfectly fine if there's never another Hollow Knight. So
Hmm.
I didn't really care what Silk Song did, but it was easy for me to accept and to just say, yeah, this isn't for me.
There are some rooms in that game where, like, so in Silksong you can heal in midair. That's one of the things that the game sort of takes and then uses to sort of push against you, because things do a lot of damage because they know that you can heal in midair.
Yeah.
The issue is healing still takes a lot of time. There are some encounters in Silksong where like healing is literally the wrong decision. And it is literally better to just silk spear through a bunch of enemies. It gets to the point where like I have to like almost pre-spawn people and like, no, like, you're gonna spawn right here, and on your first available frame that you're hittable, I am throwing a silk spear at you because you have to die. Like, I cannot let you like do your behavior on screen or I'm cooked.
That requires a level of foresight, I would imagine, that can only come from trial and error.
The game is very happy to let you die for your knowledge, which is something that I can accept, but I certainly enjoy less than some people, if that makes
I
sense.
think if Hollow Knight respawned me in the room I died, like those Ori climbing sections,
Hmm.
I would happily push through Silk Song. With me, when the punishment for a mistake or an experimentation or a new idea is severe, at that point I lose interest.
Yeah, yeah, you
Bec-
become very
yeah, I
hesitant
get
to
it.
even try. Yeah.
Exactly. I completely get why they do it, but for me, it isn't worth it.
Yeah, I think that on,
I
on the note of
Yeah.
runbacks, it fascinates me because, I mean, games like Souls, for example, they're,
Hmm.
especially the older ones, are notorious for runbacks, and, some people like them, some people don't like them. I like runbacks in Souls because the reason I think they work is that Souls is significantly less trial and error than I think some people are willing to accept. A lot of the time when I play a new Souls-like, and especially like, when I was going through Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, I very rarely died to exploration. Because those games make it so that if you're paying attention and you have, defensive play in mind, you can very easily survive almost anything, barring situations where, I don't know, you fall into a pit and you have no way out and there are enemies coming at you, right? Like,
Yeah, it's like the way you deal with something is always pretty similar in Souls. The thing about Melania that really frustrates people is that you need to come up with a novel solution to Warspell
yes,
Dance.
yes. It's something
And
that
you
people are
need
not
to
used to doing.
experiment. You need to experiment. But the punishment for experimentation is the first 100 times death. This sucks. This isn't fun. A lot of people feel that way.
I mean, it kind of makes sense that she is essentially a super boss. Like games like
Yeah.
JRPGs and the like, they do have super bosses where it's like, this is not something that you're actually expected to fight necessarily in the course of your
That's the
main
interesting
progression,
thing.
right?
Because the Halig tree's hidden.
Yeah,
Like, the only reason that everyone takes the Halig tree for granted in an average playthrough is because of the internet.
yeah,
But in the game, as it is, you're not supposed to get to the Halig tree.
yeah,
You're not supposed to figure that out. It's supposed to be something that happens maybe on your like second or third run where you're like, oh shit, I see. I can
yeah.
use this medallion.
It is the
And it's
greatest, like, it is the
yeah.
greatest navigational and discoverability challenge in the entire game to even get there. And then at the end of that greatest navigational challenge in the entire game, you're faced with, pre DLC, the greatest combat challenge in the entire game.
It was clearly based off Medea,
Mm-hmm.
who himself was a very hard to find boss unless you were using the internet. And it's interesting because I think FromSoft feel that, well, it is hidden. You're only supposed to do this if you feel like you've mastered the game and you got something to prove, which
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah.
But people do get it in their heads simply because of what the internet has become, that it's default content. And
Yeah,
it's an
exactly.
interesting example of the consequence of the internet on game design and on our experience with games. And it's never more true than it is with Destiny,
Yeah.
which Destiny basically outsourced its entire tutorialization to YouTube content creators.
Yeah.
It could not have done that beforehand. It would not have worked before YouTube
That's true.
because it would have been obtuse to the point of unplayability.
Nobody would even be able to access like the best parts of those games. It's such an interesting double-edged sword for me because when I look back on my time with Destiny, which, I still very occasionally play, but certainly not
Hmm.
not to the point of passion and fervor that I used to, which is heartbreaking for a variety of reasons, but
Oh yeah, tell me about it,
one of
man.
my favorite universes of all time, one of my favorite combat systems of all time, one of the best rogue classes in any game ever made. Holy
Hell
shit.
yeah.
Playing that
It's funny
game.
because
Go on.
did you do the secrets?
Which ones?
Like when a secret quest would drop, would you be like, "Oh, I should go do that," like Whisper of the Worm?
I was not actually around for Whisper of the Worm, but I
Yeah.
did do whichever ones arose and whatnot, which unfortunately happened increasingly rarely as the years went on. But yeah,
So everyone calls that a secret, but it's not a secret because the moment one person found it, then the entire internet found out. It's not a secret. The
yeah.
cool thing about it is the fact that you're doing it because of the community. It
Yes.
feels like you're a part of something.
And what's awesome about that is that makes sense because that's what Guardians would do, right? Like
Exactly.
the internet existing like feels thematically appropriate to like being a guardian in Destiny. Like you share
And this is the
information.
reason that Destiny is completely fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because even the content creators have left.
Yeah.
They can't even be asked anymore. It's gone. Once you lose Datto, you've lost the game.
They're kind of in this weird unwinnable situation, right? Like I hold Destiny so close in my heart, but one of the reasons for that
Mm.
is the way my journey of learning that game unfolded, which is probably similar to the kind a lot of players had. I joined a clan, I started raiding with them, they started
Hmm.
teaching me the game, they started teaching me what guns were good and which ones weren't, why they were good and why they weren't, ways to play that I hadn't thought about before that, synergize in like very difficult team contexts. I did day one raids on contest mode. Like it
Oh, yeah.
was it was fun as hell. It was hard, but it was fun as hell. And throughout that entire journey, like most of the things I learned were taught to me by other people, right? Like the game
Yeah.
itself very rarely moves to actually teach you much of anything. And so on the one hand, I recognize, so like that's bad, right? Like everyone agrees that that's bad. I think about
Is
losing
it
that
though?
experience of learning from others, like learning from other
Yeah.
guardians, and even the content vaulting thing, like call it cope if you want, but no game I've ever played other than Destiny has made me feel like, okay, this universe is ongoing. Events happened that I was not alive for. And so I get to ask other guardians who were alive at the time, like, hey, what was Forsaken like? Right? Like, what was it like finding Cade's killer? Right? Because I never got to be
Never
there.
considered that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
never got to be there, but as I'm
Yeah.
speaking to these other players who lived through that, I get to hear history from those guardians' mouths, right? Like that no other video game has given me that feeling. And that is kind of like the experiential positive question mark of the history essentially being blown up and like deleted, right?
That is a remarkable perspective, and I'd never considered it. And it is cope, but you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Like isn't it
From your
so
perspective,
fascinating?
you're right. Yeah, that's fascinating. And I've never had that experience. For me, it was always just I miss the seasons because I can't be fucked with the seasons.
Yeah.
And it would be so fucking annoying because no one had archived it properly, so I would have no idea what the hell happened.
Mhm.
And I would have no idea how to track the stories and what the community was doing at that time. But I completely understand your perspective where you're speaking to like these elder guardians. And I know that that was quite a common experience in much earlier MMOs where you
Yeah.
had these events. They weren't even content, they were just events, shit that happened.
Yeah.
And you just had to be there. And of course, you couldn't go back to that. You just had to be there. And it goes to show again how fucked Destiny is
Yeah.
because you lose your people. You lose the people who were able to tell you what things were like, the people who were able to tell you how to do things, what things to chase. I am an experienced Destiny player, and I've never had any idea what the fucking meta was. I've needed other people to tell me what is acceptable and what isn't.
Nowadays, we get all these talks of like, oh, Destiny 3, like yes or no, right? And it's like, so don't get me wrong, I would love a Destiny 3, like purely
Mm,
selfishly, like is this something I would enjoy playing? Sure, why not? I'll
mhm.
give it a go. Right? Like I like this universe, I like the combat system, like I will happily check it out if by some miracle it ever exists. But as it turns out, I'm just looking at what Destiny 2 is going through right now and how the game is like can barely even be called on life support, right? And it's just like,
Mm.
damn, like what can they even do? And of course, the elephant in the room is like Marathon, which I have been playing and deeply
Do
enjoying.
you like it?
I
Oh,
do
that's good to hear.
very very much. That game and that universe and that combat is crazy to me. Like it has this insane like Armored Core energy, which is like
Yeah,
you exist in a universe of corporations that genuinely don't give a fuck about you, right? And it's
yeah.
like one of my one of the memes that I have among some of my friends is, make cyberpunk uncomfortable again, right? Because like there's a lot of like
Yeah.
sci-fi stories and dark futuristic stories, but
I've been writing about this, dude.
yeah, hell yeah,
I know
like
what you're gonna say.
one of my favorite things about cyberpunk as a genre, like proper ass cyberpunk, like Neuromancer, Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, right? Like stuff like
Yeah.
that is like you get this very like uncomfortable feeling in your body when you experience these stories and like in your mind, right? And it's like, ooh, like it
Mhm.
feels kind of fucked up. And then like a lot of cyberpunk that likes to gesture at the trappings and visual design of the genre doesn't have that quality, right? And I feel very let down whenever that happens. And then I play a game like Marathon where it's like you are literally like a consciousness in a server somewhere and these corporations own
Wow.
your existence and like you're in so much debt you will likely never have like your own physical body again, so they just like 3D print you into these shells to like kill each other to try to pay off your debt, and it's like you never
God.
will, and it's like god damn, like that's fucking crazy. Like
Please give me a campaign in the Marathon universe. I'm begging you.
yes, yes, I think, yeah, I'm just, I hope that game lives long enough for them to do cool shit like that. That's all I can say. Like
It's so cool on a fictional and aesthetic level. It is so arresting to me.
yeah.
And it's so annoying because that game was never going to succeed in the way they needed it to. The idea of transitioning from Destiny, which is one of the most innovative and widely appealing ideas in history. What if you combined fucking Halo with World of Warcraft? Shit, man, that's the best idea
Insane.
any human being's ever had.
Yeah.
Then they're like, you know what? Well, we need to make more money than we've ever made. So let's get rid of that idea and make an extraction shooter, which has always been a niche genre.
Yeah, historically, not a
And
genre that makes a
yeah,
lot of money.
yeah, Arc Raiders is, I think, probably hitting the theoretical maximum for how successful any extraction shooter can ever
And
be.
it's very
You can't,
PvE heavy.
yeah, and you can't expect to reach those heights. Arc Raiders knocked it out the fucking park. You're never going to hit those heights. Like Tarkov is perhaps the definitive extraction shooter.
Yeah.
That game doesn't have a big player base.
No,
Marathon is lucky to be having to have the player count it has.
it
I
is.
have no idea why they thought this game in this form was going to be able to financially support them. And it's such a tragedy because it's fucked Destiny and it's fucked Marathon.
Yeah, and it's especially tragic for, players who love Marathon because the game is really good. Like it is
Yeah.
fucking incredible as like something that you can just play right now. It's crazy. And
It looks so cool to me. But it does strike me almost as the kind of game that you would have had as the multiplayer mode for a bigger game.
yeah,
It doesn't strike me as like being big enough. It doesn't strike me as a full, complete experience almost, which is weird. Maybe it's the size of the maps, maybe it's the number of maps,
it reminds
maybe it's the fact.
me a little bit
Go on.
of how Destiny 1 felt when it first came out, where it's like
Right,
it was
yeah.
just this really bare bones, like minimalistic. I don't even know. Minimalistic is too like charitable a term for what Destiny
Mhm.
1 was the day it released. There was
It
just
was
not
just
much going on.
well,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
It
Marathon
was
kind of feels
magic
like
though,
that. Yeah. And I think that same magic is
because
being felt in like a PvP context right now.
right, yeah. They did that raid-esque experience with Marathon, didn't they? Just
Yeah, Cryo
the other
Archive.
week. Right, yeah. Is that like a Destiny raid?
So the way it kind of works is yes, but with a little squiggly line next to it. So, okay, Cryo Archive is fascinating. It is the end game map. You are required to go in with like a minimum amount of inventory value. So you need at
Okay.
least like your loadout needs to be worth at least 5,000 credits. So you're risking something, you're taking a proper risk anytime you queue into it.
Mhm.
And the way it works is it is on the marathon ship itself, and there are several vaults. In these vaults, you can extract subroutines, and when you extract one, it becomes a permanent lore file in your codex. When you get all 6 of these across multiple runs, you get to actually fight the final boss of Cryo Archive, which is a compiler at like the top of a tower, basically, that you can climb. So
I
while
see.
you're doing all this shit, you are under threat by both AI and other teams of players. And if you manage to get to the compiler, I believe the doors lock behind you and other players can no longer interfere. At which point it becomes very much like a Destiny raid boss. Like you're matching glyphs to glyphs, you're getting damage phases, things like that.
Oh man, that sounds so, so cool.
It's awesome. Yeah.
I can't stomach an extraction shooter, but the level of reverence I have for the ideas Marathon has had, the aesthetic, the art, the lore, this particular experience that I've heard described in the Cryo Archive, man, it deserves so much success.
It really does. Like
I'm
that's my
just
thing.
stunned it cost $250 million to make.
I know. Yeah, it's scary. It's scary to think about.
What is that? Is that $1 million per pixel? What happened, man?
Yeah, I don't know. It's spooky stuff to consider and to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, with
it's
Destiny 3, it's the obvious move. Just put your heads down and work on it.
yeah,
But the trouble is, are Sony willing to risk it? Because they've already massively overpaid for Bungie. They know it. Are
yeah,
they going to fund them even more for even longer so they can make Destiny 3 that might not work because people have just had their fill of Destiny now?
yeah. I really wonder. They would have to do. I don't know what they would have to do, to be honest. That's why I'm not in charge, and thank goodness for it. I do
It's
not
funny.
envy the people making decisions over there.
Oh yeah, they're in such a rough spot. But it's funny that no one who ever attempted to be the Destiny killer ever killed Destiny.
Yep.
Destiny was the only one that actually managed to succeed in that space. I mean, people like The Division, but it's not the same.
It's not.
And
No.
Warframe's not the same game either. So,
No. Yeah.
like, without Destiny, maybe a Destiny 3 could work, simply because there just is literally no competition.
Right. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. You do get other games, but they don't have like the kind of persistence that Destiny does. You know, like sure Borderlands 4 came out, I can play it, I can enjoy it, but then I'm done with it. Right? Like
Yeah.
it gets uninstalled, we're making space for other games on the drive. It's over. Right?
I
What's
mean, you can't really replicate the magic of Destiny 1 because you can't reinvent the genre again. Destiny 1 was the only game of its kind. It was the
Yeah.
only game that had ever done Halo World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And exploring it and figuring out its world and its secrets and just its rhythms and ideas and how things were structured and how everything fit together. You can't just do that again. You can't you
No.
can't invent a new kind of game again.
Yeah, it's very difficult to do, and it's almost always an accident whenever it does happen. Like
Yeah.
whenever new games or subgenres are invented, the developers never go in with the intention to invent something new. They just say, "Oh, our game is like an RPG," right? It's very like
Well,
they describe it in very generic terms, and then you play it, and it's like,
yeah.
"Wait a minute, this doesn't really play like anything I've played before."
I
And
mean, tell
then
that to Hideo Kojima.
that
He just said
is
before Death Stranding, "Yeah, dude, I've invented a new kind of game. You guys aren't ready for this
yeah,
shit."
and then he actually did, to be fair, which is kind of insane. Yeah.
He did.
God, I fucking love Death Stranding. Like, I have this article like floating around somewhere on the internet where I'm like, Death Stranding did for floors and the ground what Assassin's Creed did for walls, and like converting those into meaningful gameplay. Right?
Shit, that's I'd never thought of it like that, but that is a great way of putting it.
Yeah. Like the whole in a lot of
It's
games you have your little ping or your scan, your like vision mode that like lets you see enemies through walls or whatever. But in Death Stranding, like what does that do? It lets you see deformities on the ground so that you don't trip and lose all your shit, right? Like
yeah. That's a really, really neat way of looking at it. I'm gonna steal that for the Death Stranding 2 video.
please do. Yeah. It's a cool idea, I think.
Did you enjoy Death Stranding 2?
I have not actually played Death Stranding 2 yet because I was waiting for it
What?
to hit PC and
And it has hit PC. What's your excuse?
I don't have one. I gotta get around to it. I Death Stranding 1 is one of my favorite games of all time,
Yeah, me too.
and I'm really curious to see how I'll feel about 2 because
It's
again, like it's one of those things
yeah.
where you can okay, this has been a topic that has bubbled up a lot recently. I've covered it in previous Rogues chats, but like there's this idea of people like looking on at games and then speaking about them authoritatively even though they haven't personally played them, that really
Mm.
like bothers the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know why people are so comfortable doing that. I think it's just super cringe.
It's
um
social media mechanics, dude. Everyone wants the take. Everyone wants to feel like they're above something.
yeah. And so for me, like what I've seen is it's been a little bit tempting to even fall into that trap myself, but then I hold myself back because I'm reasonably sentient, hopefully. And in the case of Death Stranding, these things that I've seen are like, okay, so it's cool, like DS2 is very cool, but it doesn't seem to have as much friction as Death Stranding 1 because, the player is just too powerful, right?
I'm
And
not going to tell you about it,
okay,
but yeah, it's it's will surprise you in what exactly is different about it and what exactly isn't.
interesting. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I have heard that like stealth gameplay is like massively more powerful than the
Very
first
much
game.
so.
Yeah.
Very much so. It's basically just trying to be Metal Gear Solid 5 with its stealth. In some ways, it is. I mean, it's very sandboxy and it's very easy compared to Metal Gear Solid. In that easiness and in that sandboxiness paired, you get the freedom to have a lot of experimentative fun with things.
Yeah.
There is so much shit you can do in Death Stranding 2, so many weapons, so many tactics you can choose from.
That's so cool. That's something that I really enjoyed about Death Stranding 1. You know, you do have quite a lot of freedom and ability to experiment, and what's crazy about that game is a lot of it actually does matter. The game pushes on you enough that the different options you have, they are pretty meaningful a lot of the time. You know, like
Yeah.
every I was my first time playing Death Stranding. I don't know if you had a similar experience. I was really shocked at how much progression Death Stranding 1 has. When I played that game, I wasn't expecting to be unlocking so much stuff that like meaningfully changed my mechanics and like what I could do. Like the first time I got an exoskeleton, I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You really do. It's a strong pace of upgrades. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I was a little underwhelmed, really, with Death Stranding 1, even though it's a game I adore, that you had a limited amount of ways to affect the environment. Like you have ladders and you have climbing sticks,
Yeah.
and then that's about it. And everything else you have, you can't. It doesn't really change things as much as those two things. Those are the things you can build. Well, I suppose you have bridges, but bridges are basically just big ladders, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I did wish they pushed that further a little, even in Death Stranding 1. It was why I wanted more. I wanted a DLC for that game, you know?
Would
And
you
I still want the Death
say
Stranding set on the moon.
Oh, yeah. Would you say Death Stranding 2 does a little bit more of that? Like can you know, if not affect, then like interact with the environment in like more ways.
Hell no.
Oh, well, rip.
Sorry, man.
That's okay. I'm sure the game is still sick.
It's cool. It's
Okay.
got one of my favorite endings in
Ooh,
any game ever.
wow.
And it's funny I should say that because I just finished Valley of Memory. I didn't like the DLC at all, and then the ending happened.
Yeah.
It's so good. I said in reaction to it on stream, that's the best thing Assassin's Creed has done since Black Flag.
Yeah, that actually like squeezed my heart a little. I was like, damn, okay. I see.
It's kind of remarkable that I can say that. Bordeaux has the source. They possess the source.
They do, and
How
I
they use the source is questionable, but
yeah.
they possess the source.
Yeah, certainly ones to keep an eye on. I think it also vindicates, you know, thoughts that like myself and you know, I assume you and many others have had that like Assassin's Creed is just better when it's tighter. You know, like I think
It is.
the scourge of scale really is a thing. And I think that games being allowed to be tight, condensed, focused experiences, you can have like a continuous world without having to make it like enormous, right? You
It's
can
true, but people, it's easier to sell enormity and it's easier to justify technology with enormity. And it's remarkable because we were speaking earlier about how advanced technology affects game design.
yeah.
This is it. We've gone from tighter worlds, we've gone from largely open environments, urban environments that defined the open world space. Most open world games were urban, most
Mhm.
racing games were urban. GTA was urban, Assassin's Creed was urban. Now, every single thing is a big open countryside.
Yeah.
Every single thing is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. They're
Yeah.
all Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Racing games are Assassin's Creed Odyssey these days.
Yeah.
And it's simply because with the countryside, you can do way, way bigger things. You just can. You can make the game bigger than last time because it's not that hard to make a big ass landscape.
Like,
And Death Stranding is the only game that has figured out how to gamify a field
yeah,
or a hill.
that's why it's so good.
And Assassin's Creed has lost so much because,
It simply didn't
well,
even
so much
try.
mechanical value because its idea of gamifying an open space is to not.
Just put content, like, dot it around, and then let the player horse over to it, right? Which is like,
Yeah.
it's the thing like Kino was saying in our chat earlier, where, you know, there's a difference between a game's design and the way it distributes its content, right? Like, Assassin's Creed
Yes.
has become known mainly for its means of content distribution, as opposed to, like, the stuff that you're actually doing.
Assassin's Creed is a means of content distribution now.
Yeah.
What is Japan but a pretty loading screen between things?
What I was gonna say is, on the note of open worlds, it's why Crimson Desert intrigues me the way that it does, because it's
Hmm.
one of the games that does, with its scale and with its structure and composition, things that I have not seen other games do. You know, like it's a game that is getting a lot of attention for just like look at how many different like mechanics and skills and like interactions you have with the environment. Like you can do this, you can do that, right? It's like some people are describing it as giving players the same feeling that Skyrim once did, right?
And that I find truly remarkable because when I look at the game, I don't see how that's possible. I
Right.
believe them, but I don't see it. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm just going to have to play it to believe it.
Same.
And the thing that gets between me and Crimson Desert is the fact that it's got Assassin's Creed-itis, which is we've put 60 hours of bullshit story between you and the fun parts.
People have definitely come to a consensus that like the narrative in Crimson Desert is kind of just whatever.
With Skyrim, the special thing about Skyrim is, and perhaps the reason that it feels so very strong as an RPG, despite the fact that RPG fans would kill me for that, is the fact that I truly can play the game however the fuck I want. I don't need to do any story.
Yeah.
And it feels legitimate. The game isn't going to harass me for it. The game isn't going to not work if I don't do it. The game will respect any choice I make as to how I approach Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
I can just be a thief, just be a mage, just be a companion, just be the Dragonborn, just be some guy. I can do whatever I want, and it feels like a legitimate way to play the game.
Yeah.
No other modern games do that. None.
No,
Not one.
they don't. Yeah.
And it is so refreshing to be able to play a game that will just leave you the fuck alone with its bullshit story.
Yep.
And that sounds very mean. Like,
No,
yes,
I
if the
get it though.
story- If the story's good, do it. Witcher 3 is a Ubisoft game with a good story,
Yeah.
and everyone thinks Witcher 3 is a masterpiece, including me. It is so tiring that these games that clearly want to be expansive adventure simulators feel the need to tie you down to a story they can't even be bothered to write.
Yeah, that's
And it is my single biggest problem with Assassin's Creed Shadows.
it's so heartbreaking, and like I've tried so many ways to like put this into context for myself, but the narrative and the structure of Assassin's Creed Shadows are by far its worst aspect, like I by a wide margin. I think it compromises the entire game to a degree that I just I don't know how to describe it. It's so awful, even to the point where when it has good ideas, those ideas are not really allowed to shine through. You cannot expect players to like put themselves through that just for the promise of like, oh, they say a really smart thing at this point. That is kind of my outlook on it. Like there is a moment in AC Shadow's story where I'm just like, oh, okay, you did something cool with Assassins and Templars for the first time since like AC1 to this degree. Like that's cool, that's respectable. Just, this idea that like these Templars are puppeting this land. They're not even affiliated with the main Templar body. They're literally just here for like naked power, right? Like they're here because they want to be. They're here because they're exploiting and using their selfishness and like feeding that, right? And it's like, okay, so like this is what happens when a Templar is unbound by their hierarchy. Right? Like that's a cool concept. That's a cool idea. And then what is the assassin flip side of that? Like this is an assassin who fucked up terribly, who made the worst mistakes an assassin could make. He was never reinstated. He just chose to do the right thing because he could.
Dude.
And because he was in a position to do so. That's cool. Why do I have to sit through so much fucking empty filler just to get to that one moment? And then at the end of the day, it is just one moment.
Yeah. It's remarkable that the story you're describing with that Spanish assassin is the single best story in Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically just a lore file. It's a glorified audio log. Why the fuck isn't that the story in the game?
Yeah, like why isn't that the game we got to play? Think about how sick that would be.
That was awesome, man. You have to get so far into Shadows to see that story. But what I think has happened at Ubisoft is a major dissolution of game design itself as a central driving force in their game development. I don't think these games are designed by game designers. I don't think it's possible that they are. And I think you see it across all their franchises, especially Far Cry 6.
Yeah.
Every single thing undermines every single other thing. And it's undesign. Assassin's Creed is undesigning itself.
Kind of, yeah.
Every single new game finds a new way to contradict its core elements, finds a new way to get the least out of its core elements. They've built this highly structured, highly narrative-driven game. They said, yeah, you can do it in whichever order you want.
Yeah, which does not work, yeah.
There's not even a point in it. What the fuck? If you're going to give me that level of freedom, make the choice mean something.
Yeah, and it just never does.
That's the remarkable thing. If you're going to do that, there has to be a benefit. Like in Far Cry 5, there's some benefit.
Yeah.
Maybe I do want to do the paranoid region before the psychedelic region, before the Call of Duty region.
Yeah.
Maybe I want to make my own adventure. But in Assassin's Creed Shadows, Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to go to this region that I know nothing about and looks the exact same as the previous one? Why would I want to make that choice? What's the value of it? So instead, you have ruined your story. You have denied it the possibility of being good for nothing, for no reason.
It's so brutal. Like, what's crazy is there are times when it gestures at, being a meaningful choice, like what order you do things in. But, and again, this is the scourge of scale, right? Like, it only is true in the opening hours. When you first start out as Naue and you feel genuinely weak and you're like running from fights, right? And then it's like, okay, do I want to kill this guy or that guy in that other region? And so what informs that choice that I'm making? Well, what rewards does this one give me? That one gives me a Tanto. That is a weapon type I want to use, so I'm going for that guy. Okay, but now I have a Tanto. And now, like, none of the other rewards meaningfully change my gameplay. For all its faults, like Ghost of Yotei at least attempted something like this, where it's like, do you want better stealth? Take out the guy in the stealth region, right? Like, do you want better, like, explosives and shit like that? Take out the guy in the fire region. It's basic, but that's the idea. And because there are fewer of these, choices, as opposed to Shadow's, like, I don't know, 12 guys or whatever, it can feel a little bit more meaningful and a little bit more textured, where it's like, okay, cool, I got something that transforms the way I play the video game. Fair enough, right?
Even in Yotei, I find that a disappointment, though. Because
Same.
yes, you do get that tactical
It's not
element.
enough. It's not enough.
It's not enough to justify how much is sacrificed. The thing that pissed me off the most about Yotei, and the thing that maybe even stopped me from finishing it, because I haven't finished it, is you get to this point, and then the game will basically say, all right, here are your options. We're going to give you like a short trailer for each of the regions. And the trailer basically covers the exact same beats every time. There's this guy pressing the region. There's this sensei who's going to give you the weapon. And they do this 4 times in a row. And it's like, why would you tell me that? Why would you describe your own game as a formula?
Yeah, let me
Why
discover
would you
it.
tell me that it's going to be a repetition of itself every time? Why would you tell me I'm going to have to view every single one of my present actions in the context of that immensity of shit I have to get through?
At the
And
very least,
this
let me be
feeds in.
delusional a little bit longer, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And this feeds into a problem with Assassin's Creed Shadows and Valhalla, because when you have a 60-hour game and the game is telling you that it's going to take that long with its big target screen,
I just get so
and
exhausted.
16 targets, then if I know that every single thing I do is barely chipping away at that thing, how can I ever justify an intrinsically motivated adventure? How
Right.
can I ever justify going to explore something? Because it's a waste of time, and I know it has to be a waste of time because you've told me I have a checklist the length of fucking Africa to get through.
Controversial, ideas that I've had over the years where I'm like, just make a linear Assassin's Creed game, you know? Because I,
Please.
I just want to see what it would be like, right? Like,
It's like Mirage.
indulge me. Yeah.
Mirage, why did I have that choice? What did it give the game to have that choice? You want to make classic Assassin's Creed, just make it.
Yeah.
Nothing would be lost if I didn't have the choice. Make the linear game.
Because then, if nothing else, we would know, hey, the player must have killed this target, right? We can use that to inform their interactions with other targets. In Shadows, I think it's like especially destructive and egregious because due to the setting and due to the boundary lines around the nation and like the different regions and stuff, the leaders and authorities of each region do not really interact all that much with the other regions in AC Shadows. Because that was just kind of how the history was. Okay, fair enough. However, the problem this kind of causes to arise is that none of the Shimbakufu are in any way connected to any of the other Shimbakufu, except that they're all mass dudes who have the name. Even in Origins, at the very least, you would go to like the hyena or whatever, and she's like mining like that weird ass like Isu crystal or whatever. And it's like,
That was
oh,
memorable,
yeah, like we're sending this crystal to that place, right? Like the scarab, like, oh, are you like unearthing Litopolis, like according to schedule, right? Like they felt like an organization. They were working together, right? In Shadows, there's nothing like that. None of the people feel like they're tied to each other at all. So not only is it a long checklist that, we're chipping away at, when we do, we don't even feel like we've actually done anything because none of these people care. It's not going to stop anything or affect anything that they're doing.
I wonder what happened with Ubisoft's conception of the Assassins and Templars in that way, because we have now drifted to a point where they are so distant from their original ideologies. and from any ideology, that they're completely undefined. You
Yeah.
have assassins who just believe in maybe good things, I guess,
Yeah.
and you have Templars who just are bad. They don't in Shadows. The Shinbaku don't even seem to believe in anything.
They're not
They
like
don't
aware of
have an
anything.
ideology.
Yeah.
Yeah, and half the guys you interrogate, you ask them, why have you done this? What do you
And they
believe? And they
literally
say,
don't know.
they're just like, yeah, I was just
I just did it for
exploring
money.
the region.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or power or whatever. Yeah.
it was cool. It was a laugh.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Why would you write a story that way, man? Why?
It's so just deflating, and it's like I can see, there is an argument to be made, a very weak argument, mind you, that
Mm.
them being all disconnected from each other or whatever is kind of like quote unquote the point, because the real Templars that you only discover like at the end of the game, they're the ones that are actually like pulling the strings and controlling all these people, and they couldn't care less what the Shinbakufu do, right? Like they're not even the important ones. And so it's like, okay, fair, but also like that's so boring and it's very dysfunctional and it doesn't feel good as a player to like experience that, you know?
Everything can be justified in terms of artistic intent if you stretch it far enough, but ultimately, for art to matter, art has to be good, and Shadows isn't good, and that's all there is to it.
The stealth, when everything is firing on all cylinders and working well, even like the little nuances, like if you're prone in a shadow, you're
Mm.
invisible, but if you hold aim to observe and zoom your camera a little farther, then Naue will poke her head up a little, and then now you're no longer invisible.
Yeah,
Little
yeah.
details like that where it's like, okay, wow, like that's actually like my mechanics are having different consequences on my context. Like that's cool. I like shit like that.
Yes, absolutely. And I agree with you because the stealth is absolutely my favorite part of Assassin's Creed Shadows when it works.
Yeah.
And I might have had a different experience from you because I started on the hardest difficulty,
Yeah.
and then at some point I realized this game is not well polished enough to support its highest difficulty. I'm turning it down. And when I did turn it down, I enjoyed the game far more. Is that your
Interesting.
experience?
My experience was that I started on expert, and
Mhm.
then I tried normal, and I realized that guards do not look on rooftops on normal, and
Yeah,
for
that's the biggest difference.
me that was so transformative to like the Assassin's Creed gameplay loop, and no other game in the series has done that. That I was like, I cannot rob myself of like this experience. I have to continue
Yeah,
playing like in a way where guards can see me on rooftops, because that also like gives value to like bells, which are otherwise largely useless
absolutely.
items, right?
It was a big thing to lose when I did it, but I did it because Assassin's Creed Shadows ultimately has the exact same problem as every other Assassin's Creed. It is not a well-polished game.
Yeah.
When
You can't
you
trust it.
have expert, you can't trust it. When you have expert difficulty and you have fast detection times, what do you mean it takes 2 seconds of input delay for Naue to prone?
Yep.
You can't do that to me. The worst thing is, it's not just that the game is difficult, it's that the game is stunningly punishing
It
for
is.
being discovered
Yeah.
because it's just what these games are. They combine stealth with combat, so it assumes you're going to start a combat encounter when you fail stealth, but I don't want to do that. So when I fail stealth, I'm attacked by a guy, and then 5 other guys detect me out of nowhere. 100 guys come at me. Now I have 2 choices. I can fight them, which I don't want to do because the combat is awful, or I can run away, which I don't really want to do because I'm going to attract 100 other guys. Escape isn't very fun or very interesting in Shadows. It's going to disrupt enemy patterns, so I've kind of broken the level if I do that, because it's going to take them such a long time for them to go back to their
Yeah.
patrol routes.
That's kind
I
of the
can
stealth
basically
game
just
thing. Yeah.
walk through. I can just walk to the castle now because I've distracted everyone out of their positions. And so the consequences for failure in Assassin's Creed Shadows Stealth is kind of the destruction of its own stealth. I mean, I look at a game like Arkham, I understand the wisdom and the convenience it gave Rocksteady to completely and distinctly separate stealth from combat. If you're discovered in Predator, that cannot become a combat encounter. It's still stealth.
Like you
You
can maybe take out one or two guys if you're very fast, and then you have to immediately leave.
Right, yeah. The consequences for failure in Predator is not the destruction of the game itself. The game complicates itself. But the consequences for failure in Assassin's Creed and for most AAA games that want to have both systems at once, constantly active at the same time, is that the game systems kind of destroy each other. They kind of attack at each other. I find that Kinography was talking a lot about how in Assassin's Creed 1, a stealth encounter could encompass an entire district.
Yeah.
And it was very dynamic that way, and everything was involved. And you would almost form your very personalized assassination each time based on the things that went wrong and how the game responded and how you responded to the game. I don't get that in Assassin's Creed anymore,
No.
but I do get that in Ghost Recon Wildlands. Not quite to the same degree, but
Ooh.
it is the furthest Ubisoft have pushed the open world still being part of the game. If you fail a mission in Ghost Recon Wildlands, then the game is just going to continue. The guy you were sent to kill is going to get in his car and he's going to drive away, and it's not going to be mission failed. You have to fucking bust your ass and get after him. Now
That's
you've got to
really
figure out how
cool.
you're going to get ahead of him. You got to figure out how you're going to take him out. If you're being chased by the police will fuck you up. You've got to figure out how you're going to deal with them. If there's helicopters involved, you've got to make sure you stay alive. There are so many systemic elements in Ghost Recon Wildlands, and it will evolve in an action movie way. It will respond to failure by making the game more interesting. It stands in such stark contrast to their other franchises, where anything that happens off script, the game just falls apart.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the worst part, I think, of these games is when that happens, because the promise of, open worlds and the promise of games that let you exist in these spaces is continuity, right? And like part of
Yes.
continuity is the way they react to your successes and failures. A lot of these games are fine when they're reacting to your successes, but they stop being fine when they have to start reacting to your failures, and then it just
Yeah.
kind of breaks and the continuity ends, which really like breaks the illusion and like the magic circle a little bit, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I gotta play Wildlands. It, from everything people have told me about that game, it sounds like I would really really love it. Like I played the beta for it like long ago on PS4, and
Yeah. Yeah,
I
me too. I did that too,
at
yeah.
the time I was like, damn, I'm really getting some like, like a guy who's only ever seen Boss Baby voice, right? I'm like, damn, I'm really getting like Phantom Pain vibes from this game. Like this is
Oh
crazy.
yeah. They were strongly aping Phantom Pain, and in its core mechanical set, it's not as good as Phantom Pain, of course it's not. But in its use of big open world, it's capable of exceeding Phantom Pain precisely because it is so big, so things can evolve in more ways. It reminds me of Assassin's Creed 1 again in the way that you can think ahead of your opponent before you've even started the assassination. If you know a guy is likely to run a certain way, you can plan for that. You can have mines, you can put a car in the way, you can put a car to get ready for your exit. Plan ahead in so many different ways, in ways that you couldn't quite do the same way in Phantom Pain, but in ways that do remind me of Assassin's Creed 1.
That sounds really really cool. I I would love to play that game. Is that I know that game has co-op, and I've heard that it's quite good in co-op.
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
but
And you can do more tactical things with co-op because you can say, hey, put yourself in this position and you can form plans together, you know?
right, if you're playing with one other player, do you still have the other two guys as like NPCs,
I don't
or
think so.
how does
I
that
don't
work?
think you do, but I've only ever played with one other guy and it wasn't a problem.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, Ghost Recon's like big thing is like, the whole mark and execute system I think is very, very cool.
It's
Um,
super cool.
did Ghost Recon Future Soldier have that? I think it did.
I feel like it did, but I never played Future Soldier. I only like read the reviews and watched the trailers. I feel like it did though.
I should play Future Soldier because I do really like that kind of like sci-fi
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah, it really does have a cool vibe.
Yeah.
It kind of got ahead of the Call of Duties wanting to do the future stuff, so it was considered novel at the time instead of, what happened to Infinite Warfare. I did want to ask just personally, who is Dr. Fahrenheit you were talking about with?
Right. So Dr. Fahrenheit is a very analytical Assassin's Creed 1 superfan.
Is
He,
I searched his name and I couldn't find him.
yeah, he is on Twitter primarily. I think he's on Twitter as like
Oh,
executor and then some number of digits. He will start uploading to YouTube at some point in the near future, he mentioned, and he will be on Rogue's Chat after you.
oh
So
damn. I'll be looking forward to that. Yeah.
that will be coming up at some point soonish. But yeah, he is someone who analyzes AC1 quite a lot, and it is
Hmm.
it is basically his like main focus. He's recently started enjoying AC2 for its own reasons as well, but most
I
of his
see.
analysis is squarely focused on AC1, and he's taught me a lot of really cool things, which is really great because AC1 it's the game in the series that fascinates me the most. I think it's the one whose ideas are still underexplored.
Yes,
Yeah, we would gain a
there are so
lot.
many ideas it had that never that are literally just in Assassin's Creed 1 and never even made it into 2 and then never made it into any other game again. It really does speak to the effect and the appeal that that game had, that all the classic Assassin's Creed had, really, that somehow Assassin's Creed has had this like renaissance of analysis thanks to
Yeah,
guys like you and Kinography and JSers. Back when I started, the reason that I think my videos succeeded with Assassin's Creed is because no one had ever looked at Assassin's in a big video form. No one had ever looked at Assassin's Creed seriously. I was the
yes,
first guy to do critiques
yes.
on Assassin's Creed,
I was gonna ask about
and
that.
that was kind of the reason that I thought it was going to work. It was an empty niche, and I knew there was controversies there and things that people wanted a voice to be given to,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Mm-hmm.
thought I can help do that. It's taken a life of its own, these new Assassin's Creed YouTubers, these new guys who are analyzing it and appreciating the games far more seriously than even would have been almost socially acceptable. I know you've discussed this
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
but it's almost embarrassing. It almost felt embarrassing
To
to
enjoy
give a
Assassin's
shit
Creed, even. Yeah,
about Assassin's Creed, to take it seriously, as a video game. It
yeah.
was almost one of the reasons I was hesitant to do it, because I thought people would think less of me for it.
Same.
And
It's why I'm hesitant to do it too.
yeah, and it's like, now you have some of the most remarkable analytical minds on YouTube, and they are in short fucking supply, talking about Assassin's Creed, of all
Yeah,
things.
the most janky
You
ass
don't
game franchise.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. We've got So Says Jay, we've got you, we've got all these other guys making these videos, like Kinography. Well, he's not making videos, but shit, man, he writes his essays, and they're very good essays. He was speaking just in my chat the other day about how with Corey May's protagonists, the original Assassin's Creed protagonists, they were connected by having a point of view that was premature for that point in history.
right. Yes.
And I thought, shit, man,
That's a good point.
all this time I've spent thinking about Assassin's Creed, and it never occurred to me. People are still coming up with new things to say about them, and that you can't say that with the majority of franchises. And I really do think that speaks to how deeply these games have affected people, and how absent games that deliver on what they delivered on are from the modern space. No one can move on because there's nothing to move on to.
Exactly.
For me, that and even Ghost of Tsushima doesn't do it for me. I
It's
know
not the
for a lot of
same.
Assassin's Creed fans it
Yeah,
does,
it's not the
but it's
same.
not the same. It's not the same. It doesn't have the same ideas. It's too empty, even though it's a lively world. It's too empty compared to Assassin's Creed. It's not all interconnected in the same way. And the stealth is still ultimately just a very good execution on AAA stealth,
Yeah.
but it's not Assassin's Creed stealth.
You mentioned I recently rewatched your Assassin's Creed parkour video where discuss as time goes on all the different movement systems that the games have had, and
Mhm.
this idea of like Assassin's Creed has never met its potential, right? I really believe
Yes.
that. Like,
And I
it's
started writing about that again in the Arkham video, because I don't care that Arkham Knight is the last Arkham game, because
it just
Arkham
did
met its
everything.
potential.
Yeah.
It did it. It fulfilled its potential. And Assassin's Creed is 14 games deep,
It still hasn't done
and I'm
that.
still like, no, you can't die yet.
No.
You
Yeah.
you have to give me the proper Assassin's Creed, please.
Yeah. AC needs its like Arkham Knight moment, like whatever that ends up
Yes.
being. And it's so
Yes.
it's difficult for me to even conceptualize what that might be because Arkham Knight is so confident. Even in its controversial choices, it's confident.
Mhm. It is. It is. I mean, Hex could be that moment. Is it gonna be, though?
I don't know. I just have to play it at this point. Like it has to be in
Yeah,
front of me. I have to get it in my
yeah,
hands. Like it's
yeah.
impossible to predict either way.
I rewatched your Catch Ledge video.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the most inspiring video essays I'd seen at the time that I first seen it, and I numbered it among my favorite video essays on YouTube for a
Wow.
long time, just for its structure, for its ability to convince me that something that feels so small matters so much, which it feels like every essay wants to do, and yet very few essays ever really succeed at, but you did it.
Damn.
And I
Thank
wanted
you.
to learn from it for a long time. That was the spark, you know. Can we convince people that these small things have a massive impact? Because you have guys, I remember even back in Origins days, and I liked Origins, you had guys like Jeremy Penter who said that Assassin's Creed Origins, of course it's just Assassin's Creed. What do you mean it's not like the old Assassin's Creeds? You're doing towers, you're fighting bandits in camps. It's the exact same thing.
But it's not,
Like,
though. It's not.
what? Come on, man. No, it's not. All these small things change how you mentally engage with the game.
Yeah.
It's so different. And even artistically, Assassin's Creed, the classic Assassin's Creeds, and I intend to write about this a lot for my eventual looks at the Ezio games, they managed to bridge historicity and fantasy. They became not a time portal to the period itself, but a time portal to the hearts and minds that defined the period. That is truly remarkable. How I can be in Venice, but not really be in Venice. I'm in the spirit of Venice. I'm in the dream of Venice,
Exactly.
as the track title says. It's the way Jesper Kyd uses instruments from the time and yet uses extremely modern sound design to make it feel otherworldly and alien. So it becomes fantasy and historicity at the same time.
That is something that is so, for me, missing from Assassin's Creed. The classic games, like particularly 1 to Revelations, they had this like unsettling ethereality to them.
Yes.
That like
Yes.
I think needs to be there for Assassin's Creed to, like, to my taste, feel what it is, right?
I mean, Valhalla, I do think, had sparks of that.
It did, and those were my favorite moments.
And I think it's because the musicians on that game are at the absolute peak.
Yeah.
They are living geniuses. And I cannot wait to see Sarah Schachner come back and Jesper Kyd, whatever he does next. I can't wait to see what they do next.
For real. There is one track on Valhalla, I think it's called Trust and Treachery. It plays sometimes when you do monastery raids, which are like the most uninspired activity, but like the music, that song Trust and Treachery, it makes you feel like, I don't know, like meditative and lonely on like a cold morning. Even though like there's combat all around you, right? Which is like the most
so remarkable.
Yeah.
How often people have that experience. Like, and I spoke about how Jesper Kyd changed his philosophy. With the classic Assassin's Creeds, it was about he wanted to bring about the spirit of the city. With the new Assassin's, well, it's just Valhalla, he wanted to bring about the religion, the gods.
Yeah.
And so when you look at the Aurora and you hear Celestial Dreams, although this is a Sarah Schachner track, you understand, as I said in the video, what Ivor would have seen in the Aurora.
Yeah.
To us, it's cool, it's beautiful, it's magical. But to him, it's a god. To him, it's the world beyond. And we don't see that through the writing. Sometimes we do, but very rarely. But we experience that in the open world because of the music.
Assassin's Creed and I mean, this is why you get all these conversations that fans have left and right, where it's like, you know, we need mocap cutscenes back, right? Like, we need this and that back. And it's because there is an understanding, an intuitive understanding, that Assassin's Creed conveyed itself to a great extent through its strong presentation. And recent games, due to their scale and due to how impractical sustaining a high quality level of presentation is over such a vast experience, have been unable to leverage that and unable to achieve that. And like, that is something that is missing. It's something players want because, you know, a lot of them realize like, hey, maybe you can't do this purely through writing. Maybe you can't do this purely through gameplay, but the presentation carried a hell of a lot. And when you do not have access to that anymore as developers and as creatives, because the scale of the game is simply so untenably enormous, something is like devastatingly lost in that transition.
I agree. But it's interesting, though, to me, how distinct the approaches are between Ubisoft Montreal and Ubisoft Quebec, because I think Montreal understand what you're saying and do their best. You have Valhalla, and it has all the problems you just described, but it's trying to still bring about historicity. It's trying to still transport you into this world,
Yeah.
into the mind of the character through its presentational elements.
And that's why it
Then
has
you
those
have
moments that like hit so
yes.
good.
Then you have Shadows, which doesn't at all. It doesn't get it. I don't feel like I'm really there in that period in Japan mentally. I don't feel like I'm there. I don't feel Naoe's spirituality. I don't feel Naoe's outlook on the world just through the presentational elements. I feel like it's just a straightforward photograph of the time. It's not a painting.
Right. Good way of putting it.
It's unimmersive in a sense. What else is it?
I think that's
It's
why
like
probably
yeah.
my favorite moments in Shadows, like the Spanish assassin that we discussed. The others are when Yasuke saves Naoe from the tower that she is trapped in the
Oh yeah,
rain.
yeah, yeah.
That song playing, and the entire game you've been like running away from people afraid of combat, right? And then like Yasuke is just here to like shred shit, and you feel like a monster. They're even like calling you a demon and shit. That's a sick moment. And then everything with how he got his name, and everything with how he was like training under like Nobunaga's sword instructors and whatnot. That was, I think, the one part of the story where I'm like, okay, like you kind of cooked here, but then it's gone, and then
I
it
genuinely
never comes
liked
back.
I genuinely liked Yasuke's romance with Lady Oichi.
Yeah, yeah.
I did you like that? Did you like the moment they shared on the lake in the boat?
I did. Yeah, there was a kind of quiet. I don't know like how to describe it. There's like a quiet fragility to it, if that makes
Mm.
sense. Where it's like that really was powerful for me as well. I feel like I've had moments like that in real life, and I was like, damn, like how did you convey that? That was quite good.
Yeah, it's there are I mean with Valhalla, you will get some pretty good writing, a fairly solid amount of the time. With Shadows, it's just you get to this moment and it's like, man, please let it go on like that. Don't make me wait another 10 hours to have a good conversation like that. And it's so stretched out to the point that it's almost unbelievable.
I
Did you
think
play Claws of Awaji?
I did not, crazy enough. I still haven't gotten around to that. I've heard it's very good, and it has some like really interesting boss fights, and the way that you allegedly feel hunted as you play that is interesting.
I
So,
think you might get something out of that.
okay.
It's interesting.
That
It
was
is
Bordeaux.
interesting. I don't like it. The moments people like, I also like, and I think are very interesting, and I think could be inspirational for future games set in the big countryside, stretch to fuck style.
Yeah, have not played Awaji, have not tried the bow staff, which seems to have kind of Neo style stances, which is
Mm.
fascinating to me.
I really thought there was going to be a lot of depth with that, but you just spam the same attack, man. You can just spam the up stance and win the game.
I
You can
see.
break every single encounter in the game with that, and I did, and it
Oh.
was fun because I didn't want to play the combat.
Oh, good to know. I know that it has these like chain takedowns as well that you can do with it, like uh
Yeah, yeah. They're good, but, like, if you have the Kanto or the
Kusarigama, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if it's worth trading out.
I'm so used to Tonto. Like I have a video called why do you only have a Tonto, right? Because people would ask me that question and I'm like, because the weapon swap animation in Shadows is genuinely like unbearable to me on a personal level. So that's why I only have a Tonto equipped, because I do not like swapping weapons like kinesthetically. Like it feels awful in my hands. So I simply don't do it.
It is
Like
remarkable how Ubisoft's clunk can affect how you approach the game because it's exactly that. It's the weapon swap animation that doesn't even work half the time that I
yeah, you
press
have
it
to like
either, right?
repress it to like get it to
Yeah,
trigger, and it's like, what's going
you have to
on?
convince it. Like, you have to sell it on the idea of doing its job.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I'm in a fight and this game wants to encourage me to switch weapons depending on the situation, I might have done that if the button worked, but if I
Right.
can't trust the button, I'm never gonna do that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna learn to fight in a way where I don't have to do that, which is what I've done. I have a build that is purely set up around having the one Tonto, right? Like,
I assume you got the skill that lets you get a free hidden blade insta-kill with it,
yeah, yeah,
and then you can chain that into another one,
yeah.
I think, and then you can just, yeah, that. Thank God Shadows had that, man, because it really did let me just delete certain encounters, and the game was better for it.
It was, yeah. You could tell that it's kind of rooted in the hero strike idea from Odyssey, where it's like, here's a big hit that uses your assassin damage, right? And it's like, cool, great, fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, for things that I'm looking forward to, I really want to try this new Onimusha game that is coming out. I want to try Phantom Blade Zero, which looks really cool,
Oh,
and Beast of
yes, it does.
Reincarnation is the other one that is very intriguing to me.
Beast of Reincarnation, what's that?
It is sort of like an RPG, potentially Souls Sekiro esque parries. You play as a girl who is linked to nature or like Earth. She has like plants growing out of her hair and whatnot, and she
Is
has
this the Game Freak game?
yeah the Game Freak game.
Okay, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, that game looks sick as hell. I cannot wait to see what that's all about because it looks cool. Like it has stealth in it. It has ranged combat to some extent. Obviously, it has sword
Yeah.
combat because the main character uses a sword, and then it has like the Final Fantasy VII remake style. Like you pull up a menu and time slows to a crawl, and you can like give commands to your dog, right? Like it has all of
Uh-huh.
that going on, and it's like I'm very curious about this game.
I can't bring myself to trust Game Freak. If it's good, it's good. Do you have a Switch too?
I do not, but Duskbloods is fast approaching, so
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
you know how it goes.
There'll be reason eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe my brother might get it, but I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to justify that purchase. Unless like the next Remedy game is on the Switch too, which isn't going to happen.
Yeah. Ooh, Control Resonant I'm also really
Oh
looking
my
forward to.
god,
I cannot
that
believe they're
looks
making like an
so
action
cool.
game, like a DMC-esque with like the fucking air juggles and everything. Like relax, that's crazy.
It's so cool. It's so cool. And you can tell that Remedy are the absolute best at reusing assets
Yep.
because they've built Manhattan like 10 times before
Mm-hmm.
and they're running out of money. So what do you do in Control Resonant? You just build Manhattan again and make it feel new, and it does.
It does. Yeah.
And I can't wait to play that game,
That's one of
man.
my
It's
favorite
just
things about Remedy is that they're so willing to systemize gameplay that like fits the particular character that game centers around. Like Max Payne does not move and fight like Alan Wake does. Alan Wake does not move and fight the way Jesse Faden does. Right?
yes.
Like that is so cool to me. The fact that it's like, hey, the way this character feels in your hands is like doing a lot of work to convey who they are, right?
I mean, it's remarkable, but that's just game design. That's
Yeah.
what you're supposed to do. And I think it sticks out because we have as an industry sort of abandoned a lot of that burden to actually design the game to fit the intent. We just take systems wholesale. And that's how you end up with Star Wars Outlaws,
Right.
which has the exact same stealth system as Assassin's Creed. But why? We're not playing as a master assassin who's meant to be precise. We're playing as a scrappy outlaw. We're playing
Yeah.
as someone who should make mistakes and have to make improvisational decisions. But we have the stealth system of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
So that never happens.
Yeah, it's kind of adjacent topic. You know 007 First Light, like the upcoming 007 game? That shit looks
I
so
wasn't
cool
looking
to
forward
me.
to it.
Like,
But then Lana Del Rey dropped the track, and now I'm hyped.
I understand. Yeah, no, like that is a game that looks so cool to me conceptually because it still has like the
Yeah.
social stealth vibes of like a Hitman game. But then the combat has this very like there have been people cherry picking and nitpicking clips of the combat being like, "Oh, like why would the people who make Hitman make this?" And it's like, "Okay, so first of all, the Hitman stuff is still there, so relax, right? Second of
Yeah.
all, go play a Hitman game in pure combat and tell me how good that is." It leaves a little bit to be desired. So the fact that they're like making a combat system that, you might conceivably want to get good at and like play well at
Yeah.
is very cool to me. And like the way the resources work where, you generate resources by doing James Bond bullshit and then you can spend those to do even more James Bond bullshit. Like that's cool. I like that.
I think it's so cool. And I trust IO. I wonder how they're going to pull off the story, but it makes a lot of sense to do a proper video game for James Bond to actually embody the fantasy.
Yeah.
It's just an obvious video game property.
He's a very video gamey guy, all things
He
considered.
is a very video gamey guy, dude. He's got literal gadgets.
Yeah,
He's got he's got a skill tree and an upgrade menu and a quest giver.
yeah, yeah.
He's John Video Game.
He really
And
is. It's crazy to me also that like let me know if I'm just cooked or if you also sometimes go apeshit for little details like this. But when I was watching like the little gameplay demo that they had for that game and an enemy shoots at Bond and then the top of your UI just says like license to kill and then you can pull your firearm, I was like, okay.
God,
Like, okay.
cool. That's so cool. I mean, I've been working on an Arkham Knight video for a year now, and it's a commentary, so most of it is looking at this little detail and saying, what's cool about this? How does it
Yes.
work? What effect does it have? So yeah, man, that's my shit.
Hell yes.
Saying Batman walks into this as a default animation, meaning you start with a feeling of confidence and power, or just a slight animation that changes his demeanor from passive to aggressive, and now you're primed. Or the way the Joker hints at something without you even realizing that you're being hinted. God
It's
damn,
genius.
Rocksteady had access to some kind of fucking Bible of game design.
It's crazy. That game is crazy. Like, the slightest conversation about Arkham Knight makes me crave to replay it. That game is one of my, Deus Ex. If someone mentions it, someone will reinstall it, right? Like, it's like that for me. I fucking love that game.
And they're just pure fun. And the thing that distinguishes them the most from their competition, well, I wouldn't call them competition, but their contemporaries, the Spider-Man games,
Mm-hmm.
is just how unintrusive they are. Now, maybe it's their biggest fault because Knight wanted to tell a very strong character-driven story, but Rocksteady have never known how to do that. They've always wanted to do story in a way that is very fundamental to video games.
Yeah, and I like
It's
that.
the environmental storytelling in Wonder City, or the museum in Arkham City, or the asylum in Arkham Asylum. You have the fundamental contrast that is inherently meaningful of Batman walking unbothered through Gotham, through somewhere that is dark, which expresses his whole character. It's just like being Jesse in Remedy. You know that these things can work because if Control didn't have these things, Control wouldn't have a story,
Yeah,
but it does, and
yeah,
everyone loves it. To a degree, it's because it's Batman, and so a lot of his conflicts with his villains are fundamental. They relate to the human psyche intrinsically and inherently. And we don't need a big wordsy explanation for why we should care because we just do. We
it's
always want to
intuitive.
see
Yeah,
Batman fight the Joker.
yeah,
It's always meaningful. As long as they're well executed, it's meaningful. And that's very good for a video game. And it means they can be very unintrusive. You can just play those games, man. There are so few cutscenes, there are so few interruptions. It's just bang in moment after bang in moment.
yeah, yeah. You can just
And that
be in
makes them
that
so
world
replayable.
for extended amounts of time with no
Yeah.
interruption, and it's wonderful.
And even in Arkham Knight, like, because they were so good with their camera technology, the camera would just lift off your shoulders and move into a cutscene. And somehow that, instead of a hard cut, made it feel less like you were being robbed of the experience.
The camera in Arkham Knight is so unbelievably crazy that like the first time, you know how you can like grapple through vents, right? And you'll like eject
Yeah.
up the top or whatever. The first time
Yeah.
I did that, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a horrible janky mess with the camera clipping into everything." And it was just so smooth. I was like, "How did you do that?"
It's like playing a game from the future.
Yeah.
And yet they invented it 10 years ago.
What
And
a
then they made Suicide Squad.
I'm so sad. What happened? I'm sure like I don't know what even went down,
I
what
think
kind
the
of mandates they
personalities
were.
that lead to a game as brave and as confident as Arkham are the same personalities that lead you to experimenting your way into a hole you can't climb out of. Sefton Hill and most of the talent from Rocksteady moved over to 100-star games a long time ago now. Well, it wasn't a long time ago, it was maybe 3 years ago. And we have no notion of what they're working on.
I'm
But I
so
just hope to God
curious.
that they've learnt their lesson. And they are such brilliant game designers, but I hope they've learnt their lesson to restrain themselves and to actually have a clear vision for what the game is going to be. Arkham combines extremely traditional design, it's just Zelda in many ways,
Mhm.
with completely novel design, like the combat and the stealth.
Yeah.
So it has a basis It has a known basis. But Suicide Squad had no known basis. How the fuck were they ever going to do that, man? How the fuck were they ever going to do a compelling, single-player driven story with a looter shooter, with characters who have completely different movesets and completely different personalities? How, man? In
Yeah.
third person too? Come on.
Everything just seems like they're adding on difficulty modifier after difficulty modifier to their own process of designing that. I'm so curious about that game. I really do need to try it myself at some point.
I'm looking forward to your thoughts,
Yeah, I'll chat you for
if you'll ever
sure.
release them.
Or yeah, I'll probably. But I'm thinking more about like my relationship to making videos and how a lot of the time I don't release something because I'm just like too intimidated to do so for whatever reason. And that's something I've been wondering about as well. Like, have you ever worked on a video or a project that like you were intimidated to work on to a degree that like meaningfully slowed you down?
I've been intimidated by a project to the point that I didn't even start.
That's me as
And
hell.
that is basically the reason you don't have classic AC critiques. Because when I finished my Syndicate video, which I like a lot, but at the end of 2020, I thought, okay, I really want to actually try hard to become a better critic. I want to get properly good at this before I do the classic ACs, before I want to bring more to this, before I move on to anything that I really, really care about. And I pressured myself very hard, far too hard, to be honest, to make the highest possible quality that I could make, to improve as much as I possibly could. And it led to 2021, which was a series of extremely experimentative and weird videos
Mm-hmm.
where I was speaking weird and I was doing things with my voice and I was doing things with the music and I was doing things with the sound design, everything. I wanted to do everything I could to get better. But in that mindset, you never reach the place where you're like, okay,
I'm
now I'm
ready.
good enough.
Yeah,
I'm ready. So you don't have classic ACs because of that. Now I want to do them. I'm in a space now where I don't feel that way anymore. I've gotten past that. I've gotten over it.
that's
But
really nice.
yes, I've very much been intimidated to the point that, like Deus Ex, but it was motivating in a way because I wanted every video to be better so that eventually I would be good enough to make the Deus Ex video. I would be
Right.
good enough to make a video that effectively honored Deus Ex for me in my heart. And I feel like I'm at that point now. It's been so long that I'm not even quite sure what it is I wanted to make. And I always it's weird because I've now become a fairly big YouTuber. H-Bomber Guy made that Deus Ex video, and it's got 11 million views, and I feel like I'm never ever gonna be able to change the conversation on that because it doesn't matter what video I make, it's not gonna get 11 million views.
This is a
And
feeling that is very familiar to me. Yeah, a lot of the time I'm just like, is it even still worth making this when, something similar already exists, right? And then like my
it's
friends will
always
say,
worth getting content from you
"Oh man, thank you. Thank you."
because you have such a unique perspective. No one has ever said things like you've said them. No one has ever paid that much attention to this thing, to this quality in this game. You're never contributing to the same conversation. You're never beating a dead horse.
God, I really hope so. I'm gonna take those words to heart and really like let them drive me because yeah, for a long time like that has kind of been the big hang up with me for Shadows is that I want to honor like what this game is and isn't and like what Assassin's Creed is and I want to like really talk about it in a way that is appropriate and adequate. And like one of the things about me is that like much of my criticism is centered on things that I find cool or that I think work well, and comparatively less of it is centered on things that are just like failures and like don't work very well, right? And with Shadows, the problem is a lot of that game doesn't work very well. And so I
Yeah.
have to approach that and I'm very like uncomfortable about that, right? Because it's like I don't have that much practice expressing these kind of things.
Yet one of your best videos is the Catch Ledge video, and even though you could say it's positive because you get the catharsis, and that's one of the things I like about it the most. There are so few negative videos where you get the catharsis at the end. But
Right.
you get the catharsis in Catch Ledge. It still was a negative video overall. You clearly are very good at describing what a problem does to you, does to your mind, does to your feeling
Yeah.
of playing the game, does to the way you engage with it. Like when you said at the top of that thing, imagine how you would feel if this had happened to you in this situation. Yeah, it worked. I imagined it, and I was convinced. You're very good at that.
You are too. That's something that you'll see these big tweets blow up, and it's like, oh, I'll watch like YouTube essays, and it'll just be like people summarizing a game, right? Or like it'll just be people discussing like the technical qualities of a game, and it's like we've all seen
Yes.
those, right? And so I think
Yes.
we all have this intuitive understanding, at least us who really are passionate about games, that like the most valuable criticism contains an element of the personal and the experiential, right? And that's something that I
Absolutely.
think you are really good at as well, is like you're describing things and situations in a game where you're getting people on the same page, right? Like you express like, hey, this is what this evokes, right? It makes you feel like this. And then when I watch your videos, I'm like, holy fuck, he's right. Like this does make me feel like this. That
Yeah.
is a quality that I hope to be able to express as well. Hopefully
You,
I
you've always been remarkable in that field at making me think like you, at putting me in your mindset. And I do understand, like, I very much empathize with the dearth of critics on YouTube who aren't really doing games criticism,
mm-hmm.
because a lot of the motive to do this is to just honor the thing that you love so much
Yeah, yeah.
with your own effort, to express it, to just say, fuck, dude, I love this thing. And they don't know how. They don't know how they're going to do it. They just do what feels right, what Joseph Anderson seems to have done. They just want to get all their shit onto the page. They haven't found the craft for it, you know? They haven't practiced
Mm-hmm.
being good at writing criticism.
And I really value that because like that is ultimately what made me want to do it as well at the very beginning. Is like I just want to like, I love this stuff. I find it really cool. I don't know if other people understand why it's cool. I want to convey why it's cool, right?
Yeah.
And then that's kind of like where it all starts. And you know, there it's hard, man. Like it's way harder than people think it is,
It's
I
hard.
think.
It's really hard. It's really hard. And you have to you have to be concise. You have to put, my biggest problem as a writer used to be that had no ability to put myself in the mind of my audience. And so I would write sentences that made sense to me, but then I realized when I rewatched them, the audience would never understand that. They wouldn't be able to pass it. Not only was it too fast, not only was it too obtuse, but it referred to a thing I hadn't even established yet.
Yeah,
That's been the biggest thing that I've had to improve.
I still have this issue personally. I
It's
it
it's a it's a big talent to develop.
Yeah, it's really, really hard. It's something that, yeah, it's one of the things that makes me really intimidated to do large videos. Like, my Mirage video, I don't think is, like, particularly incredible. It's fine, like, it does what it does. It's an hour long.
Yeah.
That's one of the longest, like, game analysis discussion things I've ever done, right?
Yes.
And so when I look at like Shadow's video, that's pretty long as well, at least an hour and a half by my
How does it
estimate.
exist in this form? Is it a Premiere file? Is it just a script?
It's a Premiere file and a script, but mostly a script. And so I'm just kind of
Okay.
thinking like I'm really intimidated to like make large videos like this because I genuinely don't have much experience doing so. I don't super know how to like make it come true and like make it real physically, right?
I
And
mean, I'm more than willing to help. If you'd like to just send me what you've got, I can give you feedback.
that would be really cool, yeah. And one of the things I was even considering is like, okay, I know how to make shorter form videos that cover like a particular topic. So what if I
Yeah.
just released, multiple videos just covering individual aspects of the game? Like, would that be less intimidating for me? And I think the answer is yes, but I do kind of want to challenge myself to release it as like one experience.
I mean, I totally see why you'd want to do the shorter form thing, and it would be great, and you would be good at it. And there's no reason you should hold yourself to the standard of long form. Yeah, if you do want to get good at long form, the only way you're gonna do it is by just making it, dude.
Right,
You're gonna you gotta practice, and that means making it no matter what it is, and putting
right.
it out, and then you'll have learned from it. And then in 2 months' time, you can rewatch it, and then you'll realize exactly what you did right and exactly what you did wrong.
That's probably the best way of going about it. I kind of just have to accept that, like, I'm going to release a long form Shadows video and it's not going to be as good as I want it to be, and I have to be okay with that. Basically.
Yeah, it was constantly running into that mismatch of vision and result was something that really disheartened me early in my career, but you just practice your way through it. Have you ever watched Matthew Matosis?
He's one of my favorites. Yeah, I've seen pretty much everything on his channel.
Do you remember the Soul Arts video?
Yes, the Lost Soul Arts of Demon Souls. That is one of my favorite videos on his channel, and it's something really close to my heart. It's something I think about the series very often.
It is my favorite video essay on YouTube.
Yeah.
It is like if I ever get to the point that I'm capable of making a video that good, I feel like I'll have done it. Um, it's just it's not even about what it's saying. It's just in its ability to convince you.
Yeah.
It is fucking remarkable. It is so well written as an argumentative essay.
And what's really crazy to me about it is that is how I've always seen these games, and why I discuss this vibe of, like, the adventurer's mindset. I bring it up ad nauseum, right? This idea of to truly enjoy Souls-likes, and this extends beyond even the From Software games. You can take this to Lies of P, you can take this to Kazan, you can take this to so many games. Try to survive the situation as an adventurer trying to survive actually would. Don't limit yourself, right? Like, see what that does to your experience. Oftentimes what it does to the player's experience, especially a newer player or a player intimidated to get into the genre, is it unlocks it for them, and they realize, wait a minute, these are way more fun than I assumed they would be. And they have so much more there for me, and so many tools to draw on that don't make it so, like, crushing and intimidating, and honestly at times make it even easy, right? And Demon Souls was the game that taught me that, right? I think the reason why so many players don't really have that available to them, like, mentally, is that, not everyone has played Demon Souls. It's not the most available game in the world, right? It's on...
Oh, yeah.
Like, how can you play Demon Souls if you have a PS3, if you emulate PS3, or if you play the remake, which is just a different game, right? It's just not the same game, right? Like, it is in some ways and it isn't in other ways.
I've read enough and watched enough criticism to know that I'd much be better off. I'd much prefer playing the original.
Like, I like both very, very much, but I think that I would recommend players do enjoy both, like, individually at the end of the day.
I've read some fantastic essays from artists who went through the Demon Souls remake, and they described very specifically what it fucked up, what it didn't understand.
Yes.
And having been convinced by them, I really do think it's kind of a pile of shit. It
Yeah.
really is quite insulting to the original, to the idea of having actually reinterpreted a game, because they haven't reinterpreted it.
They just did whatever they wanted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those rumors came out or whatever where it's like, a Bloodborne remake was pitched by Bluepoint or whatever, and From Software turned it down. And it's like, are we really surprised?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't fucking want them to do that to my, like, which Miyazaki considers Bloodborne to be, like, his favorite thing he's ever made, as far as I'm aware.
Yes.
So, like, imagine the love he has for that, and, like, how protective he is of that, right? Like,
I mean, why would you even remake Bloodborne? Like, I get it, people want it on PC, but it's a good-looking game.
yeah, I mean, people are emulating it on PC nowadays, and it plays and looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's weird to me. I mean, 60 FPS, everyone would appreciate.
Yep.
And I wouldn't mind, like, I would very much like a Bloodborne 2, because there are things I didn't really like about Bloodborne. A remake? Why? What would be the point?
What would you even... Yeah, I don't know. A remake to me is such a weird concept as well, because there's no clear definition of what it even is. Like, every different game company that releases things that are, allegedly remakes are working off a totally different conception of what that even means.
There is a fantastic video by Ratatoska, who just went through this, and his method of distinguishing remakes from remasters, from replacements, I think is really clear-minded. And it's something I wish I'd have thought of for my own video on the subject. I
I'll have to
highly
check it out.
recommend that video.
Yeah, I really like Ratatoskr. I know that he can be controversial, which is a huge part of the point, right? The whole leave an inflammatory comment, not enough for the YouTube censors to catch, but enough to piss people off, right? Like, please feel free to unsubscribe, and if not, I'll get to you next time, right? Like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But he has a lot of very smart ideas.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been very convincing, and I very rarely agreed with him, but he's a guy that I also like to learn from, and I value that immensely, because as a guy who's been driven by improving my videos with every, well, not with every video, but having a trend line that is upwards. That's what motivates me.
Yes, I think it certainly shows that they become better and better over time.
It's so important to have guys to learn from. And all the more I value new talent on the scene, and I value rewatching videos from Matthew Matosis and sometimes Noah Cornwell-Gervais too.
I love Noah as well, like very, very much. Again, like
Noah's got such a remarkable perspective on things because
yeah,
he will make you appreciate a complete pile of shit as a work of art in a way no one ever could. He will blow your mind.
yeah, and the reason why is because he approaches it from such a personal and experiential angle, right? Like he's probably one of the purest forms of that I've ever seen, to the point where
And yet, yeah.
yeah.
And yet, like, when it comes to mechanics, he tries. It's not that he's bad, it's that he doesn't really do much with it. You get a very specific take from a Noah video that no one else will give you.
Mm-hmm.
And I will never come away from a Noah video having learned a lesson about game design or having formed a complete picture of the game in terms of its craft.
Right.
But in terms of the art that it is and the meaning, shit, man, I didn't even know people were capable of interpreting it this deeply. Like his Shadow of the Erdtree video
Yeah.
has given me such a huge appreciation.
He got like a lot of pushback and a lot of flack for the thoughts he had in his like Souls videos, which really broke my heart because, you know, I'm pretty good at these games, okay? Like I would say like quite a lot better than the average player. And
Yeah.
and when I watched his video, I really enjoyed everything he had to say about it. These are the things I wish I could say to new players who are scared to try Souls-likes and who are scared to try this genre, which has become my favorite genre.
They were fantastic videos. I mean, Noah takes criticism to heart a lot of the time, and I wish he didn't because it's a curse. But
Yeah.
the impact his videos have had is so self-explanatory. I mean, what else could by the fact that he gets like $1 trillion per minute on Patreon, dude? People love this guy. People love what he has to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm one of them. I mean, his appreciation of Sekiro, especially.
Yeah, yeah. It's
The
so
way that
crazy to think about.
he grounded it all in this Buddhist philosophy and actually managed to fucking convince me that what he was saying was right. That's
I replayed Sekiro after that, and I was like, you know what? Like, I get it now.
yeah.
Like, this game is
It's
kind
like
of sick when you like look at it through that angle.
I feel like I can get better. I can get way better than I am. I feel like I can hold myself to the standard of Matthew Matosis, and maybe in 20 years I might even be able to compare myself to him. I just don't even understand how Noah does what he does when it comes to appreciating things from an artistic lens. He just
It feels so
fucking sees it, man.
singular. Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
so that's something I think is really intriguing and fascinating to me. And I think that we would all be lucky to discover that aspect of ourselves where people look at us and it's like only you could do that, right? Like
It's such a skill, a profound skill in being able to sell others on the contents of your own heart, which is a fucking ridiculous way of putting it, but you know what I mean, right?
I do 100%.
So what do you want to do with your YouTube channel?
To be honest, like that is a topic I have avoided thinking about in detail for quite a while. There once was a
Yeah.
time when I pushed really hard to do stuff on YouTube, like I would upload very often. There was a really explosive period kind of early-ish on where I would upload stealth videos, I would upload like educational like guides, like here's how to teach people how to enjoy a game more, how to be less frustrated, right? Like all of those things. And then I would also upload um you know, thoughts and discussions and analysis and critique on occasion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, all three of these things are interlinked, and that is what makes LeoK. The idea that
Yes.
you could get a cool gameplay video, and then once you've seen how cool the gameplay is, now there's a guide telling you like, hey, here's how you can do that too. And then, you know, maybe 3 days later, there's a discussion video or a review or a critique expressing here's why this stuff is important and here's why it matters and here's why you should care about it, right? Like here's why this stuff makes the game more enjoyable and more meaningful. in my mind,
Yes.
those three things like flow back and forth between each other and like inform each other. So no matter what
Hmm.
I do in the future, like I think that will stay the core of what I am. And
Absolutely.
I want to just keep doing that. And then like the thing that I've been really afraid to do and really intimidated to do, but when I look deep in my heart, I'm like, this is what I want to do. I really want to do something with Souls likes as a genre and express to people why I love them so much, because that fear I have where it's like a lot of Assassin's Creed players in particular, they only really care about Assassin's Creed, and it's something I see much more with this franchise than with many others. Like there's this vibe that like a lot of AC players don't demand better because they don't really care to find out that better is even possible, if that makes sense. Because they pretty much
I
just
can
play
see that.
Assassin's Creed, right? And then if you're
Yeah.
if you're someone who just plays Assassin's Creed, then you are almost allergic to looking outside of it and being inspired by games beyond it. And so that's why whenever Assassin's Creed does try to do something experimental or something, you know, even vaguely have some kind of friction, it's kind of unpopular, right? Or whenever people discuss other games to try to better Assassin's Creed, there's a hesitation and a reluctance to even give those other games the time of day. Like, why are we discussing Metal Gear? Like, this is about AC. Why are we discussing Souls? Souls is try hard, masochistic slop, right? Like, there's this idea of like, these other games are, I don't know, there's a defensive quality to some AC fans, I think, which goes beyond even myself, which is impressive
Interesting.
because I love these games and I would fight to the
Yeah.
death for them. That's kind of what I'm worried about. Like, I'm worried that if I were to do things with Souls, one, no one would care, and two, if they did care, I'm worried that my ideas would be unpopular, even though I have demonstrable proof that I've improved the experience of so many players playing Souls just by like helping them access their playstyle, where there is, for example, if a player would best enjoy these games as a mage, I empower them to like play as a mage. If they would best enjoy these games as a warrior or as like a honorable fighter, I put the tools in their hands to like let them enjoy that. And if a player would best enjoy these games as a rogue, which I believe is most people, not that I'm biased or anything, just how these games are constructed, right?
Yeah.
I put that power in their hands as well. That is something I'm really, really like hoping to do, and it's something I'm very like afraid to even approach because I don't know how I would begin, right?
I understand not knowing how to begin. I don't know about the views. I think it would have an audience. I obviously, moving out of your niche is going to have a view cost, but it will find its people. It will make a difference. With Souls, with Assassin's Creed, I feel like when Unity was around, you were kind of considered like the Assassin's Creed godfather, not the biggest Assassin's Creed YouTuber. That would have been like Lasers or something,
Yeah,
but you were the guy who would make people understand. You were the guy who would clear things up.
yeah,
You were the guy who would show people what they'd never seen or what no their friends had never understood. You can still be that guy for other things. You can still help people see things that they haven't seen.
I would love to do that.
And people will always value this like mentor figure you've taken on. You know, the Leo K guy hiding in his cave, a
Yes,
sensei with his tea who can teach the young wolf
that is
how
the
to
idea. Yeah, that is
how
the
to play
goal.
the game. I mean, people talk about you when I talk to other Assassin's Creed guys or just anyone who's interested in Assassin's Creed. You're John Assassin's Creed, dude. You're Jimmy AC
Damn.
because you've just you've got this ability to cast away the mist and the confusion and
Yeah,
just see clearly what's there, what's true, and
yeah.
what's permitted.
I mean, I didn't say so,
Yeah.
but I do also want to mention now that I want to keep doing this for Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed is obviously like one of my favorite things ever. I think it provides an experience that nothing else does and nothing else even attempts to, and that's the
Mhm.
problem, right? And I think that I want to keep doing that, and I want to keep discussing, what is great and what is tragic about it all. I want to keep doing that for sure. Um, it's just I've always had this fear that like do people like the mentor thing, or do they just like that it's Assassin's Creed? And if I were to do it for other things, would I still be that mentor in their eyes? You know, would they listen to what I have to say? But
Well, you'd have to work for it,
right.
but the content would be valued. I mean, there are always conversations that are controversial and that people want to have and that people want to have elucidated. And a lot of YouTubers will make the mistake of thinking, well, how do I get views? How do I make the video people want to see? Well, what's the most popular game? But everybody knows if I made an Apex Legends critique tomorrow, it would get no views. It would get 10 views, perhaps. It wouldn't work because there are conversations that are closed. There are topics that are interesting. There are things inside people that they want to have given voice to. There are
Right.
things that people are confused about that they want cleared up.
Yeah.
These are the things that will actually get an audience. When I made Forza Horizon 5 is not a 10 out of 10. It's not like racing game critiques were popping off. Forza Horizon 5 was getting glazed like nothing else, and I was able to tell people what they had in their hearts.
Yeah, like you're not crazy for being disappointed in this game, right? Like,
Exactly. You need to get to that thing, and it's as simple as just imagining yourself as a member of the audience. Would you want to watch that? Would you find that an interesting topic, an interesting conversation topic?
you know, you're right, because so many of my favorite videos that I've made are those, the ones where I'm like, I want to watch this, right? And I want to watch
Yes.
a version of this that would discuss it the way I would, and then it didn't exist, so I had to make it, right? Like,
I mean,
the
this is exactly what I've just screwed up with The Last of Us. The conversation's closed. We've had the conversation. We've moved on. You can't make Assassin's Creed Unity however many years later. It's been what, 12? I couldn't make that video today and get that many views. Not in a million years, because we've talked about Unity. When I first started, you had all that pent up energy, all those narratives. Some narratives completely suppressed, people being afraid to say, actually, I quite like this game.
yeah, yeah.
And I was able to release that energy. But now it's released.
Yeah,
It's
you've given
released.
me a really interesting perspective, which is that empathy is a massive, like, resource and a massive, like, just strength that you can cast when it comes to these kind
Yes.
of things. Because
Well, it's
this way,
intuition.
it's intuition. Yeah, you're able to ground yourself and basically pull on this, like, font of dialogue that
Hmm.
is unexpressed, and then you're able to bring that out and then like use that, right? Like, I think certainly, like, if I were to do that more, not only would I have a good time, I think everyone would have a good time.
I agree completely. I mean, anything even vaguely related to Assassin's Creed or things people watch you for, like I think people have enjoyed some of your Souls-like content. Um, you can find these conversations, these things that people want said or want understood, and show them with clarity. You can pull it out of their hearts. You can put it into words. As I said, like on YouTube, you've made one of the most convincing videos I've ever seen. You've clearly got the source. Um,
And what's cool about that video is it really is just like a magnifying glass on a particular mechanic. And I think that is the
mhm.
thing that I've always been the best at. And it's why long form content intimidates me the way that it does. Because what I would essentially have to do is do that like multiple times in the same video, right? Which, like,
There are big disadvantages for long form content because everything needs to be compressed
yeah.
and pushed down onto itself. And one of the reasons I'm doing the Arkham Knight video is precisely because it gives you freedom from that, which is weird and counterintuitive. Usually you have to go shorter. But with a commentary, you have the freedom to go as long as you need to pay exactly the right amount of attention to every particular thing.
Hmm.
And I did find it quite exhausting to need to push everything down into a very small, digestible proportion for the years later videos. For
Yeah, yeah.
Valhalla, like, maybe there is just this one thing that really matters a lot, but how can I sell people on the idea that this has earned a 5-minute talking point in a 1-hour video, in a
Right.
1-hour critique? It's very, very difficult to do. And with video essays that are short or commentaries that are long, you don't have to justify it. It's just what the video is. So, yes, in some sense, the short form is advantaged. But if you do have a lot to say and you want to give your overall thoughts on a game, and I feel like a lot of people do want to hear your overall thoughts on Shadows in particular,
Mm-hmm.
then obviously long form has its advantages because you get to give people an overall conclusory picture.
No, that is really, really helpful. Yeah. And the other thing that I kind of have an issue with sometimes is I get really excited about shit to the point
Mhm.
where it takes my attention away from like the things that I should be doing. Like right now I
Mm.
am crazy obsessed with like I've been obsessed with Lies of P and Kazan since I've played both of them. I think Kazan in particular is a criminally underappreciated game. I think it has I could do my LeoK shit with that game and like really make people believe how unbelievably cool it is. Um, so that's something I want to do. But then the other thing is, like I said, I recently played through Pragmata, and very little of the conversation online about that game is about its actual combat. And I really want to do some kind of look at, like, hey, we're going to go through every encounter in the game, and I'm going to point out everything that's cool about, like, the level design in all of these, like, combat rooms, and, like, why every weapon is placed where it is, and, like, what that does to you, right? Like, that's I would love to do something like that. And I think the reason why being excited about something new is so intoxicating is because it gives me a lot of energy and momentum that I otherwise struggle to muster up with like older
Yeah.
topics, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that way too. Like maybe I'm working on a long project and then I start playing a game and start analyzing it and start liking my analysis.
Yes,
And
exactly.
then you almost have to choose whether you want to stop working on the long form, on the main project, or strangle your passion and just plod on with what you're supposed to be doing. And that is a really frustrating thing.
It is. I think that's the one of the aspects that people really underestimate when they're just kind of like looking on from the side.
I mean, it happens very much so when you're making long videos that take months at a time to make. I'm wondering what does it distract you from?
It's distracting me from the shadows thing primarily because it's like
See,
I want to talk about the game, but ultimately like I don't want to talk about it that much. Do you know what I mean? Because
mhm.
like Shadows is one of those games where it doesn't even piss me off enough to justify like saying all that much about it. Like at least Valhalla made me angry, right? Like in many ways, Odyssey made me really angry, right? Like
Yeah.
even though I haven't never done long form stuff for Odyssey, I have a rant video just like the angriest you've probably ever heard me on YouTube, just talking about how shitty it is to like press your stealth kill button on a dude in Odyssey and it for it not to work, right? Like and just like explaining to people like imagine if you were Mario doing a platforming section and like you jumped at the end and you fell into a pit because your stats weren't high enough to make the jump that you physically made with your hands, right? Like that would bother you, right? Like
Yeah.
I was making
Yeah.
some cooked comparisons in that video. um
Shit. Yeah. I mean, people are always willing to hear that from you.
yeah. I think there's also an element of like novelty to it because typically like I'm not that angry a guy for the most part, and so like if something
Mhm.
does piss me off and I do
Yes.
express that like venom, it's like okay, hold on, something is happening here,
Yeah.
right? Like
There's contrast to it. Exactly. I
yeah.
mean, I'm always pretty vulgar and hyper on YouTube, so I guess it doesn't quite hit the same with me. You do need that contrast a lot of the time to
I
really get the full effect.
I think it works pretty well with you because sometimes you come up with like really like insane ways to like express something, or you come up with these like sayings and I'm like, is that like a real British thing or did he just make that shit up like right
It's
there?
it's pretty much never a real British thing. I'm gonna be honest.
Holy. Well, you're quite good
Yeah.
at those, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you just come up with it and you can't let it die.
Yep.
Like, it's your baby, man. You've born it into the world.
Yes. I mean,
Like,
that I imagine keeps the excitement and the momentum going in those long projects, which
it is just compelling to write, like, with expression and not like a robot. The
yes.
worst
Yes.
lesson people ever fucking taught is to write as concisely as possible with the exact same prose and voice of an article in The Guardian.
Yeah.
No.
It's horrible.
No.
Nobody wants to listen to that
Stop.
shit. Yeah. Like
Especially because you're doing a video essay, so you're projecting it from your own voice.
yeah.
People want to hear the human that you are. They don't want to hear the essay you submit to your college tutor, the worst mistake you can ever make is thinking that you're supposed to write video essays the way your college professor taught you to.
Yeah,
No, you're
it's
not.
so deadly to do that. Yeah, it's awful.
Do not strangle yourself. No one wants to hear from a robot or from ChatGPT. They want to hear from you in your voice. The easiest way to teach someone who has no idea how to write, the first lesson is write how you speak.
Yeah.
The first thing you say, write how you speak, because oftentimes they can speak compellingly,
Yeah.
but then they're intimidated by the page. How's that possible? Because they don't realize that compelling writing is often very much like speaking. It's like curated speaking.
Both you and I probably get this comment sometimes where, you know, if you do write something in text, someone will be like, "Oh, like I read this in your voice," right? And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a reason for that. You know, like there's a reason that that works, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I published my scripts, they would be torn to shreds because I can barely punctuate anything. I don't think I've ever used a semicolon correctly. With writing for spoken word, you know where the emphasis on each word is supposed to be when you wrote it in your head.
Right.
You write for your own voice. You write to be spoken by yourself, not for anyone else to read.
Yeah, that's kind of the beauty and the power of this medium, I think, is uniquely.
Exactly. You can integrate rhythms and particular stresses that you could never really do if you were writing to be read,
Yeah.
but you have that freedom if you're writing to be heard.
I really like that. It's the reason why, and I had never thought about it, and I had never expressed it so outwardly before. But there once was a time where I used to write, you know, articles and my thoughts on games, like on forums, and I would make these big threads that were essentially like, you know, medium articles, basically.
I've read some of them on Reddit.
Yeah, and I would write a lot of that, and it's like whenever I would put my thoughts in a video and I would speak them out loud, suddenly it just felt so much better and so much like it felt more. The words resonated more and they rang true more and they really expressed more than in pure writing. And I never really knew why that was the case, but
You did have a writing style that was very evocative of your own voice and your own personality. I've never seen anyone write quite like you. The way you emphasize certain things, the way you format your paragraphs, it was very LeoKRogue.
yes, I use a lot of italics and a lot of like capitalized letters for certain words that I want people to hold on to and anchor as like a concept, right? Like it's something
It
that
feels like
gets pointed out a lot.
the voice was like pushing out from the words.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's obvious that just if you get rid of the words, you're completely freed to say what you want to say. With Shadows, for me, it's I am so in awe of how badly it is designed in so many ways that it does impassion me to express those things, to be able to explain them, to be able to just convince people of what I see, the sheer magnitude of completely incompetent game design. Almost, as I said, the dissolution of game design.
yeah. I really
I
like
want
that the
people
concept.
to
Yeah.
be in awe. I want people to be in awe of Shadows' failure. Even if I conclude at the end, it's just a mediocre game. It's not that bad.
Yeah,
I
because
want
that's
people
how I
to be
feel
able to be
about it.
stunned at its fuck ups.
Because to be true, like its fuck ups are severe. Like there's some stuff in this
Yes.
game where I'm just like, it pains me to see this like be the way it is, and that like it speaks to, you know, surely someone must have noticed this at some point in development, and the fact that it's still in the game means that like, damn, we just had to prioritize other shit, boys. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Until I mean, Ubisoft want their franchises to pop off. They're in their financial shits. They're only relying on Assassin's Creed, and that's only because Assassin's Creed has the most powerful fantasy. Someone needs to radically restructure their development processes because it is so painfully clear that the game designer's voice is suppressed to the point of near silence in their
yes.
modern games.
Yes, it's heartbreaking. Every time a modern Assassin's Creed game gestures at doing something interesting, it feels like it's being flattened by something before it even gets a
Yeah.
chance to like be, right?
Flattened, undermined, contradicted, suffocated every time, reliably.
And I think that is why some players really hold on to this vibe of classic Assassin's Creed, which sure, it was a corporate product, but it felt a little bit more wild. It felt a little bit more punk. It was allowed to do janky and weird and esoteric shit, right? And it's like, to some extent, players really do miss that. Like, we want Assassin's Creed to do weird, esoteric shit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We do, but no one wants to take risks. It's the consequence of every single thing needing to be bigger and better than the last thing,
Yeah,
better in some quantifiable way, because it's the easiest way to sell you on that thing. It will
yeah,
always sell. Being a little bit bigger than the last thing will always sell. Having a little bit bigger a map, having a little bit longer a story. They can
yeah.
do that forever, and they will.
They will, because it
And
works, and
yeah,
it's heartbreaking to me, because that's something that for me personally is almost, or not even almost, like, is a detriment. Like, whenever it's like, oh, this game is even bigger than the last time, the story is even longer than the last time, I'm just like, okay, so how much more of my time are you gonna waste without giving me like a meaningfully enriching experience than last time, right? Like, that's all I hear.
I know Conography wanted people to focus on the actual special game design ideas of classic Assassin's Creed and not its content distribution. It is one of the things that strikes me most whenever I return to an early open world game, maybe even a racing game like Underground 2,
Yeah,
just how condensed everything was, how dense the experience was. The designer didn't want the player to go for too long without something interesting, without something meaningful. It can just be a continued series of good shit that will take you from the start to the end as if you're swept away on a wave. And every single modern AAA game is just completely rejected that idea of being a good game.
and even when it tries to, when you do hear about these big open world games, and their developers talk about, like, oh, we wanted like map density, so the player can only walk, the player should not walk for longer than like 1 minute and 20 seconds or whatever without finding like another point of interest. And it's like, that's how you get these really uninspired, hey, just put down like a little camp of like 5 guards to kill with a treasure chest,
Yeah.
right? And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, like, no.
I mean, Ghost of Tsushima is able to use the emptiness to its benefit,
Yeah, yeah,
but so many of these other games are not, and Shadows is one of them. It's almost like if you just took a mathematical approach to these games, like a simple bar chart, how much of your time is spent doing something interesting, and you put them next to each other, it would be crude and it would be artless, but it would reveal, in shocking terms, I think, the scale of the problem, the proportion of time in Shadows that is spent just moving to your next objective.
yeah,
As much as a 10 to 20-minute journey to get to the next mission, and then another 10-minute journey to get to the next one. Do a region, and the only reason it took you 2 to 3 hours is because you had to just move your horse along a road or through a forest mindlessly for half of the time.
yeah. Some of these games need these like modern graphical improvements just to like hold the player's attention, because on the road all you
Yeah.
have to do is look at the pretty nature and weather and whatever the hell, right? And I think one of my friends, like Hayate, he does no damage runs in Assassin's Creed. He was discussing doing the one for Shadows, and like he was just so disillusioned and dismayed at how many times you have to like pray in front of a shrine or whatever, and the animation for that is unskippable, and you have to do that so many times, and it's one of the things that on a first playthrough you can tolerate, and to be clear, you are
I mean,
tolerating it, like, you're certainly not enjoying it, right?
yeah.
But then if you're doing repeat playthroughs where like you're doing challenge runs,
Oh
no
my
damage runs, and you
god.
have to re-get your skill points every time you die or fail, imagine how awful that is. And then it brings me back to games like Pragmata, where it's like, here you have this emotional story about like these two, you know beings who are primed to dislike each other, but then they grow closer or whatever, or at the very least, like, primed to misunderstand each other. Sure, like, that's great, you have a cool story. But then if you do play on lunatic difficulty, or you even start a new game, like a fresh new game, or you go new game plus, whatever you want to do, you can just skip every cutscene, right? Like, boom, combat, like, boom, movement, right? Like, you're using your air dash, you're using your thruster, you're getting around, right? Like,
Yes.
it gets out of your way, right? And I think that basic level of respect for the player, the more time goes on, the more I deeply value games that like give me that.
Yeah, it's refreshing. And when you look at a game like Arkham Knight that did the same thing everyone else did, it went for the big open world. It went for the big realistic graphics. And yet, it's almost like you've entered an alternate timeline where everything went right in that regard.
Yes, yes.
It still manages to keep the density. It still manages to keep the right amount of size. Everything is still connected and close and fast and deeply respectful of your time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, apart from doing the Riddler ending, but still, it's like shit, man. Just that bridge between 8th gen sensibilities and 7th gen sensibilities. That's where it's at
I really,
for open world games.
yeah.
For open world games that are very interested in giving you a lot of mission based content, at least.
Yeah, yeah. I really value like that era and that like that vibe. I feel like that was kind of the sweet spot.
But it is the perfect example of what I mean by undesign. That you have to do the shrines in Assassin's Creed Shadows to get skill points. It's insane. It's based in no logic. It's based in not even a single known principle of game design. It's based on nothing. It's insanity.
Even just the simple
And yet it's in the game.
idea, yeah, even just the simple idea of, is this gonna be fine if a player has to do it 100 times, right? And it's like,
It's
to be honest,
aggressively shit.
yeah, like it gets really insufferable like the third time you do it in the same location, which you do have to do multiple times. Like the bigger shrines, you do have to get around and like hit your little pray button multiple times, and God forbid you find a way to cancel the animation because now you have to like do it again, right? Like,
And you might have imagined some clueless executive thought, you know what? Let's make this feel like a real respectful, spiritual Japanese simulator. So, in order to grow as a person, you have to go to shrines and pray. Except that means that every single time you enter a place, you rush towards the shrine, rush past everyone, press the buttons on the shrine thing so you can get tokens to spend on things. It's
it's a
like
deeply materialistic
it's
misinterpretation
completely
of like,
self-centered,
yeah,
materialistic. It's basically money you're getting for it.
yeah. And
Like,
what's more,
what the fuck,
you're
man?
making the player resent it, which is the
Yeah.
the opposite of what you should be doing. You know,
I hate spiritualism. I hate self-improvement, man. Fuck the shrines, fuck the spirits. I'm good. That's
yeah,
what Assassin's Creed Shadows has accomplished in its infinite genius. But the only way you can get this in the game is where you have a culture or a structure that is completely hostile to game design itself.
yeah.
Ubisoft is structurally broken.
It's really difficult, yeah. And when you look at a game like Lost Crown, which is just so incredible and so good, it is a game that is chock full of intentional and smart and sharp game design. I played that game on Immortal
Yeah.
difficulty, which was the highest, and I had an amazing experience. So fluid, so reliable, everything, so many smart ideas. It feels amazing to play. Every boss is awesome, right? Like, and then you get the news that like, oh yeah, that team was disbanded or whatever, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this
I
was
mean,
like the one game that actually like had, the sauce,
yeah.
right? And this is the
Yeah.
reward they get? Like, great.
I mean, it is now the assumed thing. If you want to make art in the industry, just be ready to be punished for it. Were you ever a fan of Halo?
Yes, I quite enjoy Halo. My favorite one is probably Halo Reach, personally,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah,
I
I
do like the
definitely
series a lot.
love that one. It is remarkable how much blazing humanity those games had.
Yeah.
To see what it's become now, it's just
I have no hope for whatever Halo
it's
is doing
almost like
next.
a Greek myth. It's like a story that you would teach school children
As a
about
cautionary tale, yeah.
hubris, about the structures we tolerate in the games industry. It's like a fucking parable. It's almost impossible to believe. But this is it. What it is about corporate structure. It's about how you can balance the artist with the finance bro, and about what happens when you don't.
Yeah. Well, I feel really quite good. Thank you for coming to chat. Trying to think if there's anything we left out, or any fancy we didn't follow. But
I've really enjoyed talking to you, man.
yeah, me too. This has been really insightful, encouraging, inspiring. Found strength I didn't expect to, so thank you. You may see
That's
more videos on my channel sooner than was intended, and that will be partially your doing. So yay.
that's a hell of a result to get from a podcast, huh?
Because it's like one of the things that kind of blocks me and holds me back is whenever I feel like I should be doing a particular thing, I hold myself back and restrain myself from doing anything else because I'm afraid people will judge me, which is a very stupid mindset that I do not recommend.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
And so I'm thinking I want to do cool shit for Pragmata, but I know that if I upload anything on Pragmata, no matter how like meaningful and passionate and real and authentic it is, there are gonna be some comments being like, "Where's the Shadows video?" Which is totally reasonable, you know. Like I did say that I would be making a Shadows video at some point. I think it's entirely reasonable people would ask about
It's
it.
reasonable. It's reasonable, but the core thing is you have no reason to care.
I guess that's true.
It's not that you shouldn't not value their opinions, it's that it shouldn't matter to you.
Right? It's my channel, right? I can do whatever I want with it.
Sure, it's like, so what if they said that? They want it, that's fine. You're still working on it. That's how it is.
That is how it
It doesn't
is.
matter. They're not exerting any real pressure on you. It's optional. I know it doesn't feel optional, but it is. It's the lesson I had to learn.
Hmm.
You have to be true to yourself.
I
You
will
just
be.
have to get out of your own head and push past whatever it is that's holding you back, because there is no alternative option. The alternative option is
To do
nothing.
nothing. Yeah, which is
It's
what has
nothing or
been
something.
happening. Yeah.
It's a binary choice. You have no option but to choose something.
It's true though. Like every time I've gotten out of my own way, everyone has had a better time as a result. The people who watch me, myself, right? Like so yeah, I think I'm just going to reconnect with why it's fun for me to upload shit to YouTube and really just do my LeoK thing of like, hey, this is serious game thoughts, this is guides, this is cool gameplay, right? Like I want to bring that back and bring some life back to my channel, not just for the people who watch me, but also for myself, because this is one of my biggest hobbies. Like
Yeah.
it is one of the additional ways I enjoy games. I treat YouTube almost as an extension of like achievements in video games, where the reason I do achievements in games is because I like the game so much that I am willing to take on these extra little challenges that the devs like programmed for me to like pursue, right? And then for me,
Yeah,
YouTube is
yeah.
very similar, where it's like I enjoy a game enough, or I enjoy being mad about a game enough that I want to discuss it. I want to like illuminate it, right? And I have kind of like lost a little bit of that in the pursuit of, hey, I should do what I've promised people I will do, right? Which may still be true, but yeah, I think it's not worth it if it comes at a cost to the reason I enjoy doing it. Because I think also people can feel that when it's happening, and if I were to upload something that I feel like I must without much passion behind it, I think people can tell, right? Like I think it becomes very apparent, and I don't want to
Yeah,
like give that to
absolutely.
people.
People can tell, but it's like you're torturing yourself for no reason,
Right.
because people expect this, and the consequences of breaking that expectation are
I guess not
there aren't
much.
any.
Yeah,
Nothing.
nothing.
That it like who cares? Just do it, man. The consequences aren't worth suffering.
Thank you. And thank you for
At a
coming to
certain
talk to
point,
me.
the solution to everything is fuck it.
That is very wise, regardless of the packaging. Or perhaps even because of it, actually.
Yeah.
Because that actually is what leads to action, that like groundedness, right? Like
Yeah. All right
fucking
then, man.
cool. Thank you.
Finally, let's end this thing, huh?
Yeah. I'm honestly, I would not mind talking to you again another time. This was fucking
Absolutely.
fantastic. There's so many things to discuss in this industry. You and I both play a lot of different games, and
We do.
yeah, I will definitely be keeping an eye out, and let's both do our best.
All right, man. Yeah, anytime you want, I'll be happy to do another Rogues chat. Absolutely.
Wicked. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.
All right, dude. See you later.